What's up, everybody, and welcome to Shapes of Gaming, the weekly conversational podcast all about video games that's unedited, unfiltered, and unhinged. I'm one of your hosts, Matt Stenson, Neocharge on PSN, and joining me, as always, for episode number 10, we made it to 10, Bob, is the retro gaming encyclopedia, Bob Harriman, Leon Lyon Hartley on PSN, and my good friend. What's up, dude?
We can only go up from here, man.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
it's doing good. It's been a busy week, man.
Yeah. Busy week, lots of changes, lots of things going on in both of our lives. We hung out yesterday, drank some beers, and talked some games, and we're just gonna do it again today and record it this time. But we were literally at a brewery and we had a podcast episode, and I was like, we should have just recorded this.
I thought the same thing as I was leaving. I'm like, man, why didn't we have the fucking microphone with us?
Right. We were there with a good friend and listener of the show, Alex. He was on a couple episodes. He was on our very long Claire Obscure spoiler cast. And yeah, we just hit up a really cool brewery in Colorado Springs, Voodoo Brewing. They have good food, good brews, and we cracked some packs, of course. We always got to do that. We cracked some Magic, some Japanese Pokemon. We cracked some of the Final Fantasy Magic, and yeah, just all of the things we love at once. Beer, video game talk, cracking packs, and good friends, good times.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's what we call a great evening right there.
Absolutely. Yes. And now we're here recording for you all. And speaking of good brews, we're actually drinking some good beer today. What are you drinking? What are you drinking, Bob?
I'm going back to the well of what I'm a man. So when I find something I like, I kind of tend to stick with it. Remember that, ladies. Men are loyal like that. And I went to Duclaw, went back to it and got me some more Sweet Baby Java. This chocolate peanut butter coffee porter, which sounds like a mouthful, but it is a taste of heaven.
Oh, man. Yes, I have had Sweet Baby Jesus. I haven't had the Java. I still need to have that. Yeah, dude, it's an incredible porter. So rich and a dessert beer. I'm actually drinking something similar. I changed it up a little bit. I am also drinking a porter, and this one is from Crooked Stave Brewing. It's in Colorado. It's in Denver, Colorado, so local brewery, and it is the Orange Chocolate Baltic Porter. You ever had, as a kid, you ever have those little chocolate oranges that are wrapped in the orange foil?
Oh yeah, I gotta get them. I gotta get them every year for my kids. They love those things.
That's exactly what this tastes like, and it is incredible. I love it. Rich, roasty, and indulgent. The Baltic Porter layers smooth chocolate notes with a bright citrus twist, and it is delicious. So, local brew, kind of not in the Springs, but Denver, Colorado, and Crooked Stave. Man, you've had their rosé. You've talked about that a couple times on the cast, and yeah, I'm a big fan of this brewery.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of, a little sad, our normal brewery is no longer with us. Just wanted to throw that out there, a little sadness and reminisce. So this one is for what was known as Metric Brewing.
Let's have a moment of silence for that, for sure. That was our go-to, man. That's honestly where we had the idea for this cast. We came up with the idea for the cast there, and they unfortunately closed down for business reasons. They said they were going to try and move locations, and they didn't. So, yeah, rest in peace, I guess. Metric Brewing. That was one of my go-tos, one of our go-tos, and we were there shortly after they closed. They always had really good food trucks and just a good vibe there. A lot of good outdoor seating. Man, it sucks. So we're on the lookout for another good brewery, and we'll find one. There's a lot around here, but yeah, Metric. Damn, it always sucks when like a brewery closes, but when it's like one of your favorites, it's just a ball busting experience. Just ugh.
Particularly, yeah. It just, especially when it's sudden, you're like, oh,
yeah. And they were such cool people. Like we were kind of regulars there. They're like, "What's up, Matt? What's up, Bob?" And you just when you lose that, it's like you gotta start over. It sucks.
it was the kind of place where I didn't have to tell them what I wanted to drink. They knew what was on the menu in rotation and could call out my beer every time.
Yep. Yeah, they actually had a really good fruity. Uh, it was kind of like a rosé, and it was called Vaporwave, and it was one of my faves. One of my faves. They had a lot of good sours there. I'm gonna miss them.
Yeah.
So when
Well, you
we
know what doesn't suck, man?
games, video games,
There you go. Video games.
and
Music as well.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You went to a pretty awesome concert recently. Tell me about that.
Yeah. I got a hit up from one of my good friends, one of my oldest friends, who said, "Hey, you should go check the VetTix website." And for anybody that doesn't know, VetTix is a website dedicated for helping veterans get cheap and/or free tickets to comedy shows, concerts, just events around where you live. Right? There's a whole process. If you get something, you have to use it. Like they make sure you don't resell, but anyways, my buddy Will hit me up and he said, "Hey, I can't go Sunday, but they just put out tickets for the Metallica concert Sunday night. You should probably go check that out. Or if you're interested, now's your chance." And I was like, "No, there's no way I'm going to get in." But sure enough, I snagged 2 tickets. You know how much? I don't want to even brag too much, but you know how much I paid for 2 tickets to Metallica at a
Get a
sold
good
out
deal
show?
on them.
I paid with the handling fees. I paid $15.
Whoa, that's really cheap for a Metallica concert. Holy shit. That's awesome,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was a great time. Mile High. I refuse to call it Empower Field. The
Right.
stadium. They sold out both nights because they played Friday and Sunday. I went to the Sunday show, but they sold out and set a record for Mile High. And 175,000 people in attendance across both nights. So there was more people at those concerts than you'll find at a Broncos game.
Wow. Yeah, that is where the Broncos play. They called it Mile High because Denver is a mile high, like 5,000 feet in change.
Yep.
And fun fact, Colorado Springs is actually higher than Denver. We're around 6,500, 7,000 feet above sea level. So yeah, we're higher altitude than Denver, which is crazy. But yeah, man, dude, that's super cheap. And I heard something happened very serendipitous during the concert.
Yes. Everybody knows about this one. I called my buddy to give you the backstory, folks. I called my buddy up as soon as I got the tickets, who I know is a huge fan. He's a bass player, has played professionally on tours and stuff. I called him the day after the show, and I got the only first words out of his mouth. I didn't even get to say hi. I already fucking heard. Don't you say anything, because as Metallica comes on stage, they start playing Ride the Lightning, and a thunderstorm rolls in with not just thunder, but lightning crackling through the sky. Um, that is like serendipitous, is the best way, is the way you put it. And I think is the most apt description, man. Which is great because I'm Metallica, I'm going to go see all day long. But really, that's not even the reason I was there.
Yeah, that's so incredible. Yeah, the fact that it was an outside venue, they were playing Ride the Lightning, and then a lightning storm happened. That's nuts. We actually get a lot of lightning here. Did you know Colorado Springs is one of the cities that has the most lightning strikes per square mile?
No, I didn't
And
know that, but now you mention it, that makes sense though.
uh-huh. Yeah, we have a ton of really cool, very pretty lightning storms here. And that's actually why Nikola Tesla, did all his experience in the foothills of Colorado Springs. We have a monument to him. He did all his experiments here. And that man was a genius. No idea where his stuff went. Don't want to get into that. But Nikola Tesla, we have a lot of stuff named after him here. And he did most of his experience, and he had his headquarters here in the foothills of the Springs, because we're about I don't know, 30 minutes from the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. So it's pretty cool. We love it here. But yeah, most lightning strikes per square mile here. So
Man,
I just
I wish
yeah,
I would have known that now. Now I'm going to use that as a I don't know. It'll come in handy.
yeah. Fun fact: the lightning or thunder is my favorite element in a game, and I I like the power of it, but its power dialed down and centered down into one point of contact. So it's like harnessing, it's like the ultimate form of harnessing anger or power because you're direct with it. And yeah, Neo Charge, the charge is actually derived from my love of the element lightning or thunder. So every time in a RPG or any magic based game, I usually prioritize doing the thunder spells or the lightning. And, you know, Ramu from Final Fantasy series is one of my favorites. Of course, Bahamut's my favorite. But yeah, I love lightning. And it's funny that I live in the city that has the most lightning strikes per square mile. I didn't know. I learned when I came here. But yeah, that's my name is actually based off that Neo Charge because I like the element lightning. So fun fact.
Dude, that is some next level stuff. And I thought my user handle had some deep cuts.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. But yeah, you just got to be intentional with
You
stuff.
you know what that
So
makes me think, man?
what?
I feel bad for the Gen Alphas out there that have got to create these online handles nowadays. Our
Mm-hmm.
generation, we got to snag all the cool stuff. Um, and now you got Gen Alpha who's like, oh, that username's not in use. Can I add XYZ to it? And they have to use random numbers because our generation took all the 69 and 420s.
Yep. Originally, it was Neo Charge 7 because I had to have a number. But I think it was like 5 years ago. PlayStation cleared the cache of all their old PSN names that weren't being used for the last like 10 years. And during that, you could name change once. So I snagged Neo Charge with no number. So
Ooh,
yeah,
that is sexy, man.
yep. Where do you think the 7 comes from? The
That's going to be a Final Fantasy 7.
Well, you'd think, but no, actually. The 7 comes from the 7 sages in Ocarina of Time.
Ooh,
Yep,
that's
which
good.
is
That's a good one.
which is in my top 10. Looping it around.
Maybe.
Yeah. For episode number 10, we're going to talk about our top 10 favorite games of all time. We've been waiting on this and we've been wanting to do this for a while. So that is our main topic, as you can see in the title. I can't wait to talk about them. We've been gaming for a while and we're probably going to have some pretty uh, divided lists. We might have some that are that sync up, but we'll see. Yeah. Before we get into the main topic, though, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. What do you say?
Hey, let's go to it, man. So the question is, and still putting it out there, everybody asks, I found you on Spotify. You guys mentioned the Discord channel. Go ahead and you can find the Discord link. It is in our link tree, which is at the, just go to your website, browser of choice, whatever it is, and go to linktr.ee/shapes of gaming. That's linktr.ee/shapes of gaming. That's our landing page. So if you hear about this through word of mouth or whatever have you, you go ahead and you go, that's the website. It'll send you to the Discord. It sends you to all of the socials. It sends you to where you can find the actual streams for all of your podcasts. So it is your one-stop shop for everything.
Yep, exactly. The Discord is where everything happens. All the fun gaming talks happen. We have channels for everything. We have a good time there. Join the Discord, hang out. You'll get the announcements for all the episodes every Thursday morning. And then if you go on the link tree and do the podcast section, you can use Spotify or pretty much any podcast app of your choice. 80% of our listeners use Apple and they use Apple Podcasts. So you're probably on Apple Podcasts. And thank you. And if you subscribe to that, helps us. And you get episodes as soon as they go live the morning of Thursday. We get them, put them live Thursday at 5 a.m. MST, 7 a.m. EST, 4 a.m. PST. So yeah, you'll just get them automatically downloaded to your device. And if you love what you hear, or you have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, ideas, hit us up. Send us a message on the Discord. We're there daily. We listen. We see everything. And you can interact with us. If you love the podcast so much, you can leave us a rating, leave us a nice little review if you want. That helps too. We just want to reach as many people as we can to build the community and keep talking games in a positive, constructive, divisive, and subjective manner. That's why we started this podcast, isn't it, Bob?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because you and I, we definitely got some divisive thoughts on games, but certain games as well. I'm still not, I'm still not with you on Tears, but that's a topic for another time.
You will be. You will be.
We'll
Especially on the
see.
Switch too, man. It runs beautifully on the Switch too. Another thing for housekeeping, we're gonna just go over the Shapes predictions results. We did Summer Game Fest predictions, and we never went over the results. But now I think it's the last event happened today, the Bandai Namco showcase, which didn't really announce anything new. We don't really even need to go into that, but we're just going to quickly go into our predictions and if we were right or wrong. So, starting, will we see something from the game Dispatch? We said yes. We both said yes. Nothing. We didn't see anything. So, we were wrong on that, unfortunately. Will we see anything from MiHoYo? We said yes. I said yes. Of course, we saw so many things from MiHoYo. We were correct on that. Will Lies of P Overture DLC be shown? We both said yes. We both said Shadow Drop. We were both absolutely 100% right. That one feels good, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, that's a win right there.
Yep. I can't wait to play that, but we're playing another game that we are going to talk about on this podcast before I do. Will Outer Worlds 2 get a release date? Absolutely. We said yes. They had a whole event on it after the Xbox showcase. They gave us a release date. We were both right on that. Will Elden Ring Night Rain show a roadmap or trailer? We both said yes on that. Unfortunately, we didn't hear anything, or fortunately, we didn't hear anything on Night Rain Elden Ring. But
Fortunately,
unfortunately,
that's a faux pas.
I know. I'm a little biased against that. Unfortunately, we both said yes. I figured they were gonna talk about that, and a lot of Keeley's shows has From Software stuff on it. But nope, we didn't hear anything about that, so we were wrong. Will Starfield be announced for PlayStation? We both said yes. That was one of my predictions. I said it was going to release fall. Crickets. We didn't hear anything from that. We were both wrong. Will we get anything announced for Hollow Knight Silksong? Yes. We both said yes. I said yes. And I said a release date of October. We did get an announcement for Hollow Knight Silksong this year, and we didn't get a new trailer. It was at the Xbox showcase for the ROG Ally X or whatever. Man, I'm still concerned about that game. What about you?
Oh, absolutely, man. I feel like we got enough to quantify that. Yes, we got something, but at the end of the day, what we got was a promise from Sarah Bond that it's coming this fall,
Right.
and if I could cash that in for money, I'd be well as rich as her. But unfortunately, no. And between her and Phil Spencer, I do not trust that marketing tactic. So I'm hoping for all the Silk Song fans out there. I am not a Hollow Knight fan. Uh, just because it's never been my thing, right? And it's just one of those games you can't get into. But I recognize a quality game, and I feel bad for all of the fans out there because this is what it's been like being a Half-Life fan for 25 years. Or so I apologize, and I really hope you guys get it this year because it looks beautiful.
I'm a huge Hollow Knight fan. Been waiting for this for a long time. And I really hope it releases this year. One, because I really want to play it. And two, I have it drafted. And three, Team Cherry really needs to release it this year or they're in trouble. I'm telling you that
Yeah,
right now. And
absolutely. They
I
haven't
want to see
dropped
them
anything
as
in
a
a while.
developer succeed. So yeah. Ooh. Let's see. Will we see a new trailer for the game Replaced? We both said yes. We saw nothing about it. I think this game is in trouble too. Xbox is in trouble all around, which we'll get to in the news. Let's see. Will Hello Games show anything from the game Light No Fire? I said yes. You said no. The answer was no. They didn't show shit. So you were right there. I was wrong. Will we get a release date for a release date trailer for Hades 2? I said yes. You said no. The answer was no. We didn't hear anything from that. We got a release announcement that it was going to be on Switch 2 first, but no window and no release date trailer. This next one just makes me happy. Will we see a trailer for Resident Evil 9? We both said yes on this. And of course, that was true. They ended the Summer Game Fest showcase with Resident Evil 9. And oh boy, we're both excited for this one, aren't we?
That's my most anticipated of 2026 right now. And we're not even halfway through 2025. So to say I'm excited is an understatement.
Yep, I couldn't be more excited. I still think there's some more surprises in store for that. I think we might get a dedicated state of play for it, or maybe I think at minimum we're going to get another trailer for it that's going to show us some familiar people in the series. I still,
I think Game Awards, man.
yeah, Game Awards would be a good place to do it, and I still think we're going to see my boy Leon. One can hope. Will we see the Final Fantasy IX remake? I said no, definitely not. You said yes. We did. We saw nothing from that, but it's. I think it's still. I think it is in development. I think it's coming. But we got a solid announcement from Square in the state of play. So we did see that, but we didn't see anything from 9 remake. I don't think we'll see anything for a couple more years. Honestly, I hope we see something, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
No, it's Final Fantasy 7 time right now.
Yep. This one really surprised me, and I definitely think we're going to see this at the Game Awards. Will we see a new trailer for the Tomb Raider reboot? I said yes. You said no. We didn't see anything about it. I thought for sure this was going to be a Summer Game Fest thing. It's probably going to be a Game Awards thing, which we're going to try and be there. I'll be there. You might be there. We're going to try and be at the Game Awards, and maybe I don't know. We'll report on it as best we can. Will we see a new trailer for the James Bond game from IO Interactive? We both said yes, and thankfully we did see it, and it looks amazing. It's one of my other most anticipated games of next year, and I know it's yours too.
Yep, hands down.
This surprised me too for the Xbox showcase, which was not for us. Let's just say that, and I think it was worse than last year's. But will we see anything from Kojima's game OD? I said yes. You said no. We didn't see anything. You were right. I was wrong. Will we get a release date for Ninja Gaiden 4? Of course we did. Fall. We got an actual release date. The release date slips my mind. It's sometime in fall, but we did get that. We both said yes. We were both right. Will we get a release date for Ninja Gaiden Ragebound? I said yes. Day of. You said yes. I was partially right. You were fully right. We did get a release date, but it wasn't day of. I thought they were going to shadow drop it like they did Liza P.
Yeah, that would have been sick. Two of them in one time like that. I will tell you, Ninja Gaiden 4 is October 21st of this year.
Awesome. And then when is Ragebound? Isn't it August?
That sounds right. Actually, no. July 31st is what I'm getting.
Which 1 day off.
Oh man, wait. Can you believe it's already July? That means we've got less than a month before we get Ninja Gaiden.
Yep.
2D Ninja Gaiden, by the way.
Pixel art. I can't wait. The game's going to be amazing. 2 more. Will we see Red Dead Redemption 2 on Switch 2? We didn't see shit from Switch 2. We both said yes. We were both wrong. We didn't see shit from Switch 2, the entire thing. They had a direct. They had their own direct, but we didn't see anything in any other events, and they didn't announce Red Dead 2. It's coming. I think maybe a few more directs we'll see it. This was way out of left field, and I knew it wasn't happening, but I had to put it on there. You, of course, said no to this, and you're a very smart man for doing so. Will we get a Metroid Prime trilogy remastered for Switch 2? I said yes. This is a hopeful fan prediction. Of course, we didn't see anything from that. However, maybe the next Nintendo Direct, but Nintendo's on my shit list right now, so I don't think we're going to see anything. I think they're going to port Echoes, and we're going to get maybe a port, or they'll just release Echoes on the GameCube virtual console stuff. But yeah, I don't think we're getting a trilogy. I want it. I want a trilogy with the mouse controls, but before Prime 4, I don't think we're getting it anymore.
No,
Nintendo's pissing me off.
Yeah, Nintendo's being weird with their cycles right now. They're losing a lot of faith with a lot of customers, including myself right now.
Same here, and we're going to get into that in the news. So that was the housekeeping. We wanted to do the Shapes of Gaming. I think that was episode like 6 or something. We did the predictions, and those are the prediction results. Who won? I don't know. I'll have to count it and I'll put it in the Discord. It looks like you may have won by a little bit, but we'll see. I'll add it up. Maybe when you're going through one of the news items, I'll add it up and then interject and say who won. But who cares? It was fun. Summer Game Fest 2025 is behind us. There was a lot of awesome announcements, a lot of things not for us. I'd say 80% of the stuff was not for us. Let's just say that. But the announcements that we did get were incredible, very big announcements. And just real quick, what was your major announcement of Summer Game Fest 2025?
Oh, I mean, it's a coin flip. But if I'm going to be honest, it's going to go with I'd have two games in mind, but I'm going to go with the one that actually has a release date this year, and that's for Outer Worlds 2, which is funny because that's an Xbox thing, and I don't even own an Xbox in this house anymore. Just what I saw got me hyped for this game so much, and the fact that we have a release date and you can see the team is passionate about the project, but it's Obsidian as far as I'm concerned, they've yet to let me down. So, but that's definitely that was my highlight of the entire event. I'm guessing here for you.
You'd be
Hmm.
surprised.
Actually, I don't
Um,
know. It was a pretty lackluster Summer Game Fest, if I'm being honest.
it was a lot of the stuff wasn't for us, but there were some really fun, unique announcements. And I'd say my I mean, Resident Evil 9, we knew that was coming. That's kind of a given. Super excited for that. But man, Game Freak came out of left field. I love them for what they've done with Pokemon from a gameplay perspective, not necessarily a performance perspective, but Beast of Reincarnation was actually my uh, gem of the entire shows. I want to know more on this game, and it looks incredible. And the fact that Game Freak is doing it is just wild.
That's what got me the most out of that trailer, and I should have guessed that, but that was the thing that got me was you saw the trailer and you went, "Ooh, this looks entertaining," and then it just pans to that dark screen and it just says a Game Freak game. I think both you and I just looked at each other like, "Wait, what is that? Does that say what I think it says?"
Yeah, yeah, it was crazy. I was like, I thought they were on Nintendo's leash. There was a small clip of gameplay that the frame rate did not look great, but probably pre-alpha, alpha stuff. You never know about that. It's definitely something I'm keeping my eye on. You always got to keep your eye on stuff about that, and yeah, that links up with something I'm going to talk about in the news. So, yeah, Summer Game Fest was fun. We watched a lot of the events in person, had a blast. Can't wait for next year. Can't wait for Keely's next event. We're going to try and be there in person. I definitely know I'm going to be there. We're both going to try and be there. It's going to be fun. I've been to the Game Awards 3 times, and I haven't got to go back since COVID happened. And one time they canceled it. One time there were a bunch of restrictions. And now is the time because I still think Claire Obscure is going to win Game of the Year. And I want to fucking be there for that, dude.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
want to.
yeah. That needs to be Game of the Year. If it's not,
Yep.
I'm calling it rigged.
Yeah. Right. It definitely deserves it. So I'm going to try and be there. I've been like, I'm going to the Game Awards, and then like things come up. Nah, man, it's happening this year. I'll be there. Hopefully you'll be there with me, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's get into the news. Let's get into the
Yeah.
news. Go
So,
ahead.
you was going to say, all right,
Let's.
I guess I'll start it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess this is a follow up from last week. That was reported that Xbox was getting ready to lay off massive layoffs, quote unquote, and that just now broke again today. Unfortunately, it's not just layoffs that are impacted. Matt, have you heard about this?
Yes, I have. We have a little group string. We've been keeping in contact, and yeah, it's another blow to the game industry, and it fucking sucks.
Yeah, Xbox has officially went ahead and not only canceled its Perfect Dark reboot, which I could go on about for a while. It's closing the developer that started that, um, the initiative, which is weird because these guys just started in 2018, so it's been right around a full dev cycle, and now we're getting a cancellation, that tells me either A, this game was in a lot of trouble, or B, there's bigger issues with Microsoft. And unfortunately, I think it's at where it's at because I don't know about you, but I was a huge, huge Perfect Dark fan back in the day.
It was one of the greats on the 64. It's awesome. I played it, beat it. I was looking very much forward to this one. We got one on the 360, I think, that I never got a chance to get around to. Right? Did you
Yeah,
play that one? Yeah.
I played it. It wasn't anything to write about. The 64 games were the game,
Yeah.
should I say, was the best.
Yeah. For
Uh,
sure.
but yeah, definitely a moment of silence because this game was announced 2 years ago, maybe over at this point. I'd have to check and go look, but just to see it cut out from under its knees. And the worst part is the initiative being, is going to get spun off. Well, I hope and they all bounce back on their feet. I hate to see people lose their jobs, especially in this time and age that we live in. But to Microsoft still owns that IP, which means this is another IP that they have their hands on that's going to sit dormant. And the community, and this is just my opinion, I understand that, but the community is not being serviced with something that could obviously sell. If you released a modern day Perfect Dark and did not include all of the microtransactions, if you didn't make it a mandatory online game, if you gave us a solid single player FPS with some kind of multiplayer that's optional, you would do good because look at what look simply at what was done with Doom: The Dark Ages this last year. It's a 20-hour
Yeah.
romp, but it sold millions of copies and was very well praised outside of its short, trophy bug. But outside of that, it was an amazing game. It's in my top games of 2025. So to see this go down makes me really sad. Joanna Dark, you're the James Bond female lead that I never get to play enough as.
Right. Yeah. This is devastating news. I was really excited for this game. And man, you got to think who's next, right? Is it going to be Rare? Is it going to be, who knows? Compulsion. Like they spun off Tango. Tango is doing their own thing, which is cool now. But I mean, Xbox kind of keeps buying up. They were buying up these studios, and then they're like, "Oh, whoops!" and they just disband them. So these
Mhm.
studios, these healthy studios that were making games, great games actually, and doing wonderful things and having real people behind it with real jobs. Xbox bottom up, and now their Xbox is hurting as a company, and now these small studios hurt because Xbox is hurting, and now people are losing their fucking jobs, and it really sucks. And I hate it, and I don't like this model. Nintendo themselves said we're never going to buy any companies, and PlayStation used to have the mantra of we incubate our developers and our teams in house, and we really strategically figure out if we're going to buy them. They bought Insomniac, which I mean, that was an awesome one. They bought Bungie, which not the greatest move, in my opinion. And I think they did that in response to Xbox buying up all these other studios, Activision, and all the studios of Bethesda. And they're like, well, we're going to get Bungie. And I don't think that's going to work out for them very well. I just think you need to create your own studios, bring in talent from other awesome developers, and just work with them for a while. PlayStation worked with Insomniac for years until before they bought them, and they used to say, we want to work with them, we want to see how they are, we want to develop a good relationship with them and really have them as partners before we buy them. And that worked. And looks like what Xbox is doing isn't working very well. So, and people's jobs are on the line and they're losing them, and that's what pisses me off.
Yeah, no, this is a classic. This is a symptom of what I've been trying to say for years, but I haven't been able to articulate very well, which is Microsoft, or rather Xbox Gaming, buying up studios left and right, making these big purchases. It sounds really cool. Oh, hey, we're going to bring in now, you're going to have this library of suites of IPs and all this other stuff that's going to seem appealing. But Matt, I work in a company. Like I literally at my job, you see this in not just my industry, but other industries where an organization purchases a smaller one and they make them part of the quote unquote family. And from a corporate standpoint and a capitalist standpoint, I understand and I kind of get where you're going. But in certain industries, video game development is one of these because it's an artistic one. You need organic growth. And if you do not have organic growth, you do not have the loyalty of the employees. You do not have the product anymore because those employees, it doesn't have to be the senior lead artist. It has to be his team that he led and got them to push into the creative field and be willing to work 60 to 70 hours a week to finish a project because they were passionate about it. When you do that and say, no, you need to do it because this is now your job and I'm telling you to do it, you lose the organic growth, you lose the loyalty of that team, and then you watch your product get shoved out to nobody that wants it, a la carte Concord.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I hate to see it. It's in the IT world too. It's happening in the IT world. And yeah, Concord, they actually just canceled they didn't just cancel the game. They fucking pulled it. You can't get it anymore. We both have a sealed copy because we're crazy like that, but it's kind of just like a relic in PlayStation's history. So yeah, I just hope the industry bounces back. And I really, PlayStation made some pretty bad moves too. They put Blue Point on a fucking God of War multiplayer game. Where's our Panzer or where's our Legend of Dragoon remake? Come on, guys, get your shit together. Uh, it's unfortunately some negative news, and both sides, including Nintendo, are having some missteps. Which, by the way, we have some Nintendo news, which is really weird, and I don't understand it. But last episode, I think, reported on Nintendo reported selling 5 million Switch 2s. Did we? I think we reported on that, right?
Yeah, we reported on the Switch 2 numbers. I don't know if it was 5 million at the time, but yeah.
Yeah, 5 million. Nintendo Switch 2s reported 5 million. Apparently, it was recently announced that sales data was leaked test data and was not accurate. Nintendo confirmed this through a statement that the 5 million sale figure was merely test data that was made public accidentally. What?
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it says Nintendo has seemingly been the target of a data leak that might have revealed some sales data. According to Nintendo, this was an accident and made public. So we still don't know the sales figures for Switch 2. Switch 2 was actually, they said it's the best selling console of all time. But I guess it's not. So, and it's not accurate and related to any sales result or projection. Yeah, they it was just leaked data. It's false. Well, like, come on, man. What do you believe now? Like, it's just all the fake news and the AI shit out there. It's just like you don't know what to believe. And now, like, hard sales data of a Switch 2 that Nintendo said, it's just like, oh nope, that was a leak. Sorry. What?
Yeah, that's the part that kind of gets me is it was a leak, quote unquote. But I do want to. This is a side note aside, but it is Nintendo related with leaks. This is why, folks. Listen to me now. This is why Nintendo is shutting off NSO, Switch Online services for people who are modding their Switch 2s. They are trying to plug the holes. They're in panic mode because it was only but 5 years ago that we had the Nintendo Giga Leak. This is why they're doing that stuff. They are being serious because now Nintendo is looking they as a company they have pie on their face, or egg on their face as the old adage goes, and there's no way now you can believe them going forward as a consumer. The only way I feel any validity with this, and it's just my own perception of life. So take that for what you will. Is I go to GameStops and other locations to search for cards and other stuff, or I get bored. Your people are having a hard time finding these Switch 2s, Matt. Uh, there's none. If you hear in our greater area of Colorado Springs, good luck finding one at a GameStop. They're just not getting them.
Right.
So just keep. That's the only thing. I'm not saying that's going to validate that they've sold, 5-6 million copies so far, But I am saying that there is something there. But yeah, leaked data. This makes anything they say from the and they being Nintendo makes it to where you really can't trust them. You gotta double check the source, which is where we normally go, is to the source itself, not through a third party website that repeated it, that had it translated and mistranslated it, and then echoed throughout on Twitter, right?
Yeah, yeah. They corrected it, and they said in the first week, the Switch 2 has sold more than 1.1 million units, like a fifth of what they originally said. In the US alone, with around 79% of the sales being accounted for the Mario Kart World bundle. So close to 80% of the sales on week one, people bought the bundle. I wonder why. I wonder why. And unfortunately, it shames me to say this, but I still haven't scratched my code because we played Mario Kart World, we beat it, we rolled credits, and uh, it's just I don't have a lot. Well, I have some local friends, and I don't have a lot of local friends that come over and play Mario Kart all the time. I don't think the value is there for me. If you have game nights every night and you're playing Mario Kart all the time, absolutely incredible game. In my opinion, Mario Kart 8's a little better, but we're in like year 10 of Mario Kart 8 and year 1 of Mario Kart World. We'll see where World goes. But I don't own Mario Kart World. I got the bundle though, so I'm part of the 80%. Yeah, I haven't scratched that code yet because I'm playing a game now, and we got another game for Switch 2 coming out, and I just finished Echoes of Wisdom. Time, man. It's time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's time. If I was a teenager again, 15 years old, this Mario Kart World would be a lot of fun, especially since we don't have an updated Smash roster or updated Smash game, which I don't think's ever coming. But that's a different point, or that's a different thought. My, uh, I would love it, but at my age and not really having friends that are local outside of you and a few others that may actively be want to come over and drink beers and play Mario Kart. Because let's be real, we'd want to play Halo, we'd want to play whatever else, right? Yeah, it just isn't for me. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Most 80% attach rate to the though I do want to point out that 80% attach rate now to Mario Kart World. So the question is, how's that going to continue to trend? Because we know the attach rate for Mario Kart 8 is stupendously high. So the question is, how's the world going to look in the long run?
Right, right. We'll see. We'll see. It was fun. It was a really quick roller coaster ride. I don't think the values there is for me. I don't think the value is there for me, but other people maybe. And that's just a personal preference. I love Mario Kart. I might change my mind. I might scratch it. I don't know. I do want to play Knockout uh, Tour, but we'll see. So we're going to end on a positive note for the news, but unfortunately not yet because we do have some more sour Nintendo news. Uh, I'll just get right into it. Game Informer got their hands on Donkey Kong Bonanza. They said it's extremely fun and it's a blast to play, but I I actually canceled my pre-order because of this one main concern they had, and that was the quote: "The only negative I can really say from my hands-on session is that frame rate really struggled to keep up with the action unfolding on screen on a fairly regular basis. While it's nowhere near as bad as some of the other games we've seen on the original Nintendo Switch, it's slightly concerning that the second major first party title for the company's new, more powerful hardware can't consistently perform well. However, it is entirely possible that the build I played isn't fully optimized the way the launch version will be for the Nintendo Switch 2." Okay, so I am still interested in this game, but now it's a wait and see. I know you didn't have it pre ordered either. I had it pre ordered. I believed in it. I thought we were done with this, Bob. I thought we were fucking done with this. All right. Just that little clip that we heard, I don't want to do this again. And I am like, I saw what happened on the Switch One. I trudged through the frame rate, incredible games. But then I also saw how Tears of the Kingdom looks now, how Breath of the Wild looks now, how Echoes of Wisdom, Link's Awakening, they're different games. They run beautifully, they look beautifully, and we were actually punished for being early adopters or day one buyers, and we didn't play the ultimate version of the game that inevitably exists. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm not fucking doing this again. And I'm going to keep my eye on Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I'm going to watch Digital Foundry's breakdown. And if it doesn't hit a fairly consistent, dude, at this point, I'm saying 60 frames, but I mean, between 40 and 60 would be fine. I
Mhm.
don't, dude. If it just a performance, man. If it doesn't perform well, I'm not fucking getting it, and I'm gonna wait for Switch 3. I'm there. Nintendo already proved to me that they release games not in their optimal form, and then they'll either patch them or charge you for the optimal versions for the next iteration of hardware. I'm not gonna do it again. I'm just not gonna do it.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you, man. This is why I didn't pre-order it. My Switch, like, I've been burned by this by the Nintendo promise. Even up to recently, right? Echoes of Wisdom was a good example of that. I thought we were past it with the Switch 2, but the thing is, Matt, everything we've seen has been people talking about the upgrades you get. It, Mario, you didn't see this, but I did. Mario Kart World, the second I put three people on a screen in docked mode, it it locked itself at 30. Um, which that was my first red flag. It made me go, ooh, maybe there's something here. And I think I don't know why. I'm not a hardware electrical engineer. I'm not a hardware guy. I don't do programming. It's not my passion. But come on, really? This is what we're struggling with nowadays. Meanwhile, we get some beautiful games like Doom that's locked the whole experience. Claire Obscure locked the whole experience. Nintendo, please do better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Locked 30 is fine. Locked 60 is fine. But going from lock 60 to lock 30 is not fine. If you see 60 and then you go to 30, it does not look great. It takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours for your eyes to actually adjust. And we're playing a game that runs pretty much lock 60 and it looks fucking photorealistic. Okay. That's there, right? I'm excited for Donkey Kong. It's still on my list, but it got brought down a rung, right? The pre-order is the ultimate thing, right? If I pre-order the game, hands down, super excited for it day one, no question, putting everything down for it. I really thought Nintendo, because they were talking about technical prowess of their system and everything like that. I thought we were past this, dude. I played Pokemon Violet and Pokemon Scarlet, and it ran like absolute garbage. They were fun games. I played through the performance issues. It did sour my experience, but now playing them on Switch 2 and just kind of messing around in them, I'm like, fuck, I should have waited. And
Mm-hmm.
and now I might like get ahead of the curve. And if this game, I'm telling you, Bob, if this game doesn't run lock 60, I'm not gonna get it. Sorry. I'm not gonna get it. I just, dude, in like, I don't need to be like in the conversation for these games, right? I can wait. And if I have to wait for 5 years for a Switch Pro OLED, I'll do that. If I have to wait for 10 years for the Switch 3, I'll do that. There are 7 games alone releasing in the next month that I'm super excited for. It's not barren out there. And I mean, the cream rises to the top, right? So the game that I'm most excited for, or that runs the best, or uh, is like a part of my beloved IP, is going to get top. And if it doesn't run well, performance is very important, unfortunately. And I saw what Nintendo did with their original Switch titles to the Switch 2, and it really opened my eyes. I was like, fuck, man, Zelda launched broke, and now
Mm-hmm.
it's fixed. And now you have to have new hardware. So I'm glad I waited on Echoes of Wisdom. It was a game, Zelda. It's like my favorite IP. It was a game I waited for because I knew it was going to get fixed on new hardware, and it did. And I'm so glad I waited. And that experience, I'll wait again. I don't care.
I don't blame you, man. Yeah,
There's too much shit to play.
there's too many games. That's it. My only concern with this is if this is what actually happens. We don't know because this is Donkey Kong Bonanza is not due for another what 2 weeks. right now. It comes out on the 17th of July.
It's got to be in Goldmaster.
The question is what has been reported, did they get their hands on a pre-early build and it's going to be patched through? That's my hope, because if not, and we end up with a game that goes from 60 to 40 back to 50, because when you get those jumps in frames, that's when you really notice the performance issues. If we get that out of Donkey Kong Bonanza, I am absolutely scared for Metroid Prime 4, because that is going to be significantly more intense than Donkey Kong.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, and like I said, it's still on my list. I have my eye on it. I'm not counting it out yet. This very well could be an early build, and I hope to God that it was just an early build, and the polished version is going to release on release date. And I'm going to keep my eye on it. But I canceled my pre-order because I am I've I have PTSD from this, man. From the frame rate bullshit from Nintendo titles. And it's like, oh, not this again. I can't do it again. Not another generation. I'll skip a fucking generation. I don't care. So I really hope it was an early build. Very well could have been an early build. And I'm sure it'll be available everywhere, like you said. They're going to prioritize getting many copies out for us to buy. And I will keep an eye on it. Shout out to Digital Foundry. They go in depth on how a game performs. Performance is important for a game. Gameplay is king, right? You can
Not
get
just for
through
games.
performance. Yeah, of course. For all life aspects, right? You got to perform well. uh, yeah, I hope it's an early build, and I hope everything gets smoothed over. And we'll definitely report on it. Probably in 2 episodes, episode 12 or 13, we'll report on it. I probably won't be playing it because I'll still be playing the game that we're playing that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
So I said we're ending on good news. We're going to end on good news. A very beloved franchise that is kind of an indie game, one I recommended to you. The DLC was finally announced. And that DLC is for Chained Echoes, Ashes of Elrond. We finally got a release date for this. And this DLC, we don't know if it's free or not. Probably won't be, but looks really cool. Chained Echoes, incredible pixel art, turn-based RPG. Very inspired by some of the greats, Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger. Pretty similar to Sea of Stars, different battle system. And there's mechs. So, but we are getting Ashes of Elrond. It's going to be available for Chained Echoes on August 7th. We finally got a release date. So I did. I wanted to end on a positive note, and I'm very excited for this. Actually, you played Chained Echoes, you beat it, you platinumed it, and I picked up the awesome physical edition. This had been on my dashboard for a while, and I was always intrigued by it. And I finally played it, platinumed it, I think a year ago, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It's an awesome game. I'm super excited for the DLC. How about you?
Dude, this is just going to be like Sea of Stars DLC, where it's pretty much going to be a full stop. And I think I can sneak it in right in time, just because Chained Echoes is an amazing. I'm so glad you recommended it. It's an amazing turn-based RPG. Uh, it is different from Sea of Stars, where Sea of Stars you can, for the listeners out there, Sea of Stars is like Chrono Trigger and a lot of more traditional turn-based RPGs, where at the end of battle, your health and your resources and all of that still matter. Like you use half of your MP to get through a battle, or all of it because you cast a powerful spell, you're hosed going into the next battle. You better plan ahead, right? Chained Echoes is different in that regard. This has got a lot of, I don't want to say Persona style uh, combat, but it kind of does. And what I mean by that is every engagement is a puzzle, and you need to solve that puzzle, and it has a lot of push and pull with how you do and what options you take and when you take them, in order to keep certain elements. And I don't want to spoil it too much, but to keep certain elements like a certain bar, a balance bar in effect. And that is important for the battle. The good news is that's how they focus their combat, because once the battle's done, you're back to full HP, you're back to full MP, you got your resources, boom. So it's a really good and interesting, it's a very unique approach in that regard. Um, Yeah, to be honest, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Story not as good as Sea of Stars, but gameplay wise, it's a phenomenal RPG. 16-bit, kind of leaning towards 32 a little bit if you're looking at just pixel art still. But yeah, August 7th, I'll be all over this game. I hope it's free, but if not, they're getting my fucking money anyways.
Yep, same here. You can get it on Steam, PSN. It released in 2022, and yeah, if you liked Final Fantasy VI, any of the old RPGs, you'll love this. Has an awesome twist, a lot of cool playable characters. I like the story, not as good as Sea of Stars, of course. Like you said, I agree. And it was made by a few people, so incredible indie game and highly recommended. So check it out, and we're getting DLC for it this August 7th. So cool. We ended on a good note. A lot of unfortunate negative news, but ended on a good note. So what do you say we get into what we're playing? Because we're playing the same game. And we can probably touch on this pretty quick before the main topic, because the main topic is definitely the star of the show. But we really need to talk about what we're playing. And
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how you want to do this because I think you're farther than me. Not farther.
right.
So I don't know how you want to do this. If I can let you just go, and then I'll give you my thoughts from there. And kind of let you take the stage, man.
Let's do that. Of course, anything I talk about for this game, there will be no spoilers. It recently released, and I'm talking about the wonderful game of Death Stranding 2 from Kojima Studios. We're back in the world of Death Stranding, and boy, oh boy, uh, what can I say? Like I said, no spoilers, and Kojima was basically like, "Hey, I heard you like Death Stranding, and I know why you're here, so I'm going to give you more of Death Stranding." But wait, and then he just turns it upside down. I'll just say that. Uh, what can I say about Death Stranding? Death Stranding was my 2019 game of the year. Incredible game from Kojima. It is a third-person action adventure UPS delivery simulator, and it's got incredible story. Some of the best storytelling ever in a video game because it's Kojima. It's got incredible production. It's photorealistic. During some of the aerial shots of the beginning of the game, we were both like, is that real? Wait, that's real. Oh no, it's not. Wait, well, no, that's real though." And it's like it's tricking your brain because this game is gorgeous, and then it pans around to your playable character, uh, and you're like, "Oh shit, I'm playing! Holy crap!" So Kojima knocked it out of the park with the Decima engine. This game is just gorgeous. We're both playing on PS5 Pro, both on our OLED panels, and this game was made for our setup. It has Norman Reedus. Norman Reedus was in the original. He's coming back. You are a porter again, delivering packages in a post-apocalyptic world. The story, if I were to even explain it, you wouldn't.
No,
I still
we don't
don't
have that kind of
understand it.
time.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to explain anything. I'm not going to spoil anything. Go watch the first trailer. So if you haven't played Death Stranding, definitely don't play Death Stranding 2. If you're interested in this genre or this game, play Death Stranding 1. If you have a PS5, there's Death Stranding 1 Director's Cut. If you're curious about it, just go watch the first trailer ever unveiled for Death Stranding. If you have questions, 70% of them are going to be answered once you play the game. A lot is going to be interpretive. And if you have an analytical, somewhat autistic, checklist based mind, this game is going to fucking calm your nerves. And dude, this game is a cozy game for me, honestly. Like, you're managing all your equipment, you're managing weight levels, you're managing where you're placing your equipment, and there's so much preparation, and then you go on the journey, on the trek. Uh, and sometimes things will happen. There's combat. That's all I'm gonna say. uh, but mostly, it's more of a immersive sim that makes you really just sometimes put down the controller or pan around the environment and say, "This is what video games are all about, man."
Oh, dude, I sat there for the first 5 minutes just staring at that opening scene, because it was so beautiful. Um, but you're right. This game is unique into that this is a one of those games you do not want to play it without playing the first one. I know you can usually get away with saying, well, no, it's okay. You don't necessarily need it because of context. No, you need to have played the first one. There is a recap, gives you a basic what happened during the first one, but it's not enough. There is so much context because it's a Kojima game. You know, Kojima has got he's got one of those minds that just you have to experience everything in order to get the full context. I will tell you, Matt, this game is, you're right. It's a cozy game for me, um, because there's something about Norman Reedus's character, and I got to give it away, but we're gonna just call him Norman Reedus for the sake of argument here, where he's got all of this equipment shucked on his back. He's got his pockets full with all of this extra accessories, and he's just going from point A to point B because that's what he's been told he has to do. And he's trucking along the wilderness, and he's Norman Reedus did an amazing job with this. I've seen interviews that says where he said, "No, this is the mind of way Kojima works. He just tells me to say X, Y, Z, and I do it." But he does so good because when you're crossing a river, or you start to slip, or you're going for a long distance, he'll say little things along the way. He'll be like, "Come on, you got this. You can do this." He like peps himself up. I've been in that position. You know, like I've been told, "Hey, you got to put 75 pounds on your back and you need to go from point A to point B. And it's a 6.5, 12 mile or whatever number of clicks. Good luck." And it's through the rain, it's through the sun, it's through the snow. So it's cozy. It brings me back into a position. I'm telling you, Matt, I can sit there and just go up the mountainside and I'm happy. I'm in a
Yeah.
zen like moment, which is unreal because you're playing, like you said, UPS delivery, man.
Yeah. It's like a sim, and everything is like so calculated. Like your boots, they wear down. So if you're going a long way, you got to bring an extra pair of boots, or the weather dynamically changes. I don't want to get into a lot, but let's say the map dynamically changes depending on weather elements, and it's nuts. Something happened to me. I can talk to you off cast, but I was like, "What the fuck?" um,
I think I
so
know what it was, but I'm
yeah,
curious
yeah.
to hear.
It's such an analytical game, and it's so well done. It's so polished. It's so precise. Uh, I This game is still an enigma to me because I don't like sim games. I don't like item management. I don't like encumbrance in games. I don't like timed missions, and I don't like ranked missions. But I love this game, and this game has all of that, and just the performances. You got Norman Reedus, you got a ton of very famous actors. Kojima's just a master of his craft, and if you got to be patient. You got to have patience with this game. You're not going to go into this game and be like, all right, let's play, let's fuck shit up. All right, let's go. We're going to go the golden path. Nah, man. This game makes you think, and if you don't prepare well, you're going to fail. And that's what I love about it. And if you guys are interested, I'm streaming the whole thing, and you can see half the time I'm in a menu just fucking with my cargo and my routes, and the other half I'm just walking. You're just gonna watch me walk. Or there is combat, right? And there's more combat in Death Stranding 2 than there was in Death Stranding 1. Uh, but if you're curious, tune into my stream, twitch.tv/neocharge, and I'm playing it. Just tune in for a little bit. If you like even a bit of what you see, go play it yourself. And there are some crazy surprises. This game has some of the biggest and most twists I've ever seen in a story. The story, if you ever heard it explained not knowing it, you'd be like, are you guys having a stroke right now? But if you play the game and really grasp what's happening, you understand it. And looking back and remembering watching that trailer at the Game Awards and just being like, what the fuck is going on? And then after finishing the game and going to watch it again, you're like, I know exactly what's happening. Everything makes sense. Playing the whole game is like a key that unlocks something in your brain to help you understand the absolute craziness that the story is. And that's Kojima right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I just this is the disclaimer for everybody. Death Stranding, 1 is a little bit rougher, and 2 is peak Kojima. This is Death Stranding 2 is peak. So if you played Metal Gear Solid or Police Knots or whatever or Zone of the Enders, you'll understand. But it is difficult to get into. Take it from me, who did the same thing. Do not exit off. Try to push through, and this sounds weird, get through the first 5 to 10 hours. Most games, it's within that first 2 hours, and you're like, all right, this isn't for me. Give Kojima his time, and trust in this. And then if you hit that 5-10 hour mark in Death Stranding 1, and you'll know what I mean by that mark, because there's a certain point in the game where everything kind of opens up and the story really takes off. If you get there and you're like, this isn't for me, I get it. But trust the process. Trust the Kojima-san.
Oh yeah, because we were talking about this. I don't know, even before we started the cast, and Death Stranding came up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Bob, you're a huge Kojima fan. What'd you think of Death Stranding?" And you're like, "I fell off of it," and I like put both hands on the picnic table, and I was like, "Bob, I want you to put everything down you're doing right now, and I need you to play Death Stranding." And you're like, I got like 5 hours in," and I was like, "Bob, if you ever trusted one thing I ever had to say for the entirety of our friendship, it's this. You will love Death Stranding. Just give it your full attention, your time, and your patience." And you did just that. Was I right?
Oh god, this is such a good game. I don't know what it is. That's the funny thing about Death Stranding. It is a walking sim. You are delivering parcels, and there is no fast travel. There's none of this other modern day video game designs, but yet you would love it. You just enjoy it. Death Stranding, definitely go play it. On the Death Stranding 2 on the beach is out. I got my final thoughts are just go play it. And if it's not for you, that's okay. Death Stranding is an acquired taste. And it's one of those, if you know, you knows.
Absolutely. It's like every other video game, it's subjective. But if you get into it and you fall off of it and you're listening to this cast now and you have like questions or like, hey, I can't really get this thing right, feel free to reach out to us. We'll start a Death Stranding channel. Spoiler free, of course. But this game is so special. And I was kind of on the fence about it when I first played it. I really was. I never wanted to put it down because I mean I loved it, but I was like, are we gonna get somewhere? And boy oh boy did we get somewhere for sure. Uh yeah, game of the year 2019. The sequel just released. I am taking my sweet time with it. I'm about 15 hours in. I'm at the second area. Let's just say that. And yeah, if you're curious about it, go watch the trailer. You're gonna get mind fucked. You're gonna be like, I have no idea what's going on, but it's gonna make you think, what is going on? And I'll tell you this right now: if you watch the trailer and you're so confused, most of it will make sense after you play the game. So,
Still go play the game.
oh yeah. Still, please go play the game. It's just a love letter to gaming, and Kojima is a master of his craft and is up there with some of the greats. Miyamoto, uh, just he's an incredible developer, and I will throw money at him whatever he makes. He's just makes polished games, and I'm having an absolute blast with Death Stranding. I'm actually going to play it after we record here, so
Good.
gonna dive in. So yeah, love it, and we'll keep you tuned. I don't know how tuned we can keep you because it's it's a game you can spoil very easily. It's kind of like go play it. Let us know what you think. Hit us up on Discord. Fire it up. I think if you're part of PSN or PS Plus Premium. I think it's free. Death Stranding Director's Cut or the original Death Stranding. Go play it. Hit us up. Let us know what you think. I will talk Death Stranding all day. So, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, incredible game. I'm so glad it released, and I can't wait to dive in more. I'm gonna spend three figures of hours in this game easily, easily. But I'm gonna take my time with it. Might take me about a month and a half. I'm not gonna lie.
At this rate, it's going to take me all summer, but that's
Yep.
more my problem than anything.
Right. Right. Uh, yeah. So that's what we're playing. I finished Echoes of Wisdom. It was great. Finally finished it. It's low on the Zeldas for me, but it was cool. I loved it. And yeah, all into Death Stranding now. Death Stranding 2 now. But I think it's time for the main event, and we are on episode 10. And we decided, Bob's idea decided that we would go over our top 10 games of all time. This is from when the first game console ever released, when we were born, basically, to now. These are the top 10 games of all time. We're going to go through a total of 20 games, and you're going to learn a little bit more about us and what IPs and games we're super passionate about. This is the list. This is the crown jewel of our gaming experiences. And it's kind of hard to like. The top 3 are easy. Top 5 a little hard. Top 10, man, I played a lot of games, and I'm like, I have a list of like each year what my game of the year was, so I'll probably reference that. But I have my list, and I can't wait to hear yours. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? What do you want to do?
Um, I'm good either way. I'll tell you
You
what,
go
you
first.
all right, fair enough. I'm gonna go first, but I'm gonna give a couple caveats to this, okay? Like Matt said here, finding the top 3, top 5, that's easy, right? The top 10 is ephemeral. Um, this is my definitive list, but this is only the definitive based on the snapshot in time that I'm in. The bottom half it can shift based on games that get released. Um, there's a couple of things to note in this is I did not want to. I didn't want to be disingenuous to a top 10 list. So it is a single game from an individual IP, i.e., a single Zelda game. I was going to go further down and do a single IP based on the genre that it feels in. So, a good example of that would be Super Mario World and Mario 64. Both would be eligible for the list, right? Because they're different genres: 2D platformer, 3D platformer. But as I was going through a top 10 list, I realized, oh my goodness, I don't even need to do that. I just need to stick to one genre because after almost 40 years of playing games, there's a lot of stuff in here. Okay. I'm telling you, Matt, when I sat down to go through this, I banged out the first 5, bam, 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 bam. And then within the next 5 minutes, I had 25 games on the list that I had to sort through and go, okay, who fits where, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, with that, those caveats being said, those little notices. Number 10, Matt, how much PC gaming do you think I play nowadays?
Not a lot, but you used to play a lot.
I used to be a heavy PC gamer. Do you know? So if you were to give me what's a top PC game that you've heard of over the years,
League of
people talk
Legends.
about. Okay, that's a good one. I almost put that on this list, but I was like, I don't want to talk about that too much.
Mm.
Number 10 is a strategy game made by a defunct studio now called Westwood.
Huh.
Came out in 1996. Real-time strategy game. This game is a retelling of World War II, where Einstein actually prevented Hitler from rising to power, but World War II still happened. Do you know who the Axis powers were if Germany wasn't in play?
What?
The Soviets, the
Oh.
communists. And I'm talking about people are screaming in it. There's one or two people screaming. And that's Command and Conquer Red Alert. It is a real time strategy game. Like I said, where it is essentially communists versus the capitalists. It's the Allies that they technically call them the Allies. If you know anything about your lore, this is a precursor to the original Command and Conquer. So when you look at what the original Command and Conquer did, and you look at its lore, the original Red Alert is a precursor. It tells a story, the backstory of where Kane came from and how he got to power. Um, so this game, I'm telling you, I put countless numbers of hours on here. If I were to give you the top 10 video game soundtracks of all time, Hell March is on that list, which came from this
Mm.
game. Um, but absolutely, if you like real time strategy, you can get this game. You can get it on Steam in the remastered version, which includes the original Command and Conquer as well, with real time switching of art styles. So you can go from the modern to the classic with the press of the spacebar, and it'll do it without going into a menu. So definitely go give that a check out. But yeah, number 10, I spent a lot of hours on that, Matt. I still love this game. I
Nice.
will say, fun fact: Red Alert 3 had a guest that was doing that was part of their like videos in between missions. You know who that guest was?
Who?
Tim Curry.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I never played it. I've never heard of it actually. So that's a deep cut. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. How many hours did you put in on it?
I wish I could tell you.
Yeah.
I'm no joke. This is probably 1,000+ hour game. I put from back in the day. You can't keep track of that stuff, but this was definitely a game that I played every map. I built maps. I did everything and anything you can think of short of playing online.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Uh very cool. Very cool. My number 10 is in the same vein. It's not PC. I've never really played PC game. Actually, I on my one of my top games I played first on PC, which I'll get into that. But this was like '95 when I was a little kid, so I'm not really into PC gaming, but a lot of our listeners are. It's a good way to play, whatever floats your boat. This game released on the PS4. I put probably about 3,000 hours into it over the course of the game and the sequel. It's kind of a living game across 10 years. There was a saga. And this game's actually made from Bungie. And I'm getting a tattoo of this game because it holds a special place in my heart. I made friends on this game. I played with so many cool people. A lot of my friends, just so many good memories in this game. Some of the best co-op for the raids. Of course, I'm talking about Destiny. Destiny came out in 2014. I played the alpha. I played the beta. I played vanilla Destiny. I was one of the few in the, I don't know, the thousands or something that got to level 30 first. I have the platinum. The platinum requires an crazy fucking hard trophy that you have to go through a raid without dying. Raids, the average death count is about 250, and they have wipe mechanics that wipe your entire team. It's a team of 6. Destiny was just incredible. Was incredible. They unfortunately lost their way. They went into the Fortnite uh, game model, and it's free to play now. But I will never forget the Taken King in Destiny 1 and playing uh, King's Fall, the raid. Man, Destiny holds a very special place in my heart. I played with actually a lot of people that aren't here today, and I had like I had a lot of really good memories there. So that's my most played game of all time, and it'll probably be it probably won't get crowned because I don't really play living games anymore. Destiny was my first and last living games as a service I've played, and I put 2,000 hours into Destiny 1 and about 1,000 hours into Destiny 2. Warlock, all the way, baby. I loved Destiny, and I hate that it went the way it did. And I would be there front and center if they brought it back as a narrative driven co-op. None of the games as a service, multiplayer uh, microtransaction bullshit. I love Destiny, and I had to put it on there because I played so many hours, and I just had so many experiences with it. And like they would have just social events that were like timed, and the expansions would come out, and it would just be everything, just the only thing everybody was talking about. And it was just, man, I didn't play a lot of other games because of Destiny. I was just playing Destiny every night, all night, raiding, getting 6 friends together. Some of the listeners of this podcast were actually on that raid team. You know who you are. Shout out to you. Had a blast. I put Destiny to bed and mourned for it, actually. But yeah, it was a 10-year saga, the Light and Dark saga. Destiny, incredible game. Bungie's pinnacle, I'd say,
Yeah,
other
man.
than Halo. Yeah.
I would, yeah, you're right. You say that for other than Halo, and I feel for you, man. I remember the number of hours I would spend getting drunk and playing Halo 3 multiplayer with my friends. Um, I remember just spinning around, jumping in a warthog, and my buddy was on the back with the turret, and we went like 52-0 because we just ran around shooting the turret, and we're a bunch of drunk hillbillies, just yeah. Um, I miss those days. So to have that with Destiny, I feel for you, man. Where they're at now is a different story. And my only regret is I did not get into that zeitgeist because I feel I would have done the same as you and dropped every other game for that if I just pushed through on it. But yeah, it's a good game.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep.
All right, that was number 10 for you.
Yes, it
All right,
was.
I should have probably clarified that as we got going. Um, all right, well, number 9. I got another deep cut for you, Matt.
All right.
All right. So you remember the old video game console, the 3DO, right?
I mean, I know of it. I don't
Okay.
remember it. I never played it.
All right. So there was a video game company, literally publisher, 3DO. They had a developer called New World Computing that was founded in 1984. They unfortunately went out of business and filed in 2003. But they in 1999 they released a strategy game, a turn-based strategy, resource management. Think of it like a 4X game more than anything, right? A la Civilization. Um, they released the base game, um, uh, and at first the base game was cool, and then they released an expansion, and then they released another expansion, and then they released another expansion on top of that, and eventually became the pinnacle. And that game is Heroes of Might and Magic 3.
Oh,
Um,
very cool.
th- I probably put seriously, this was probably your 3,000 hour game into Destiny. This is probably the most played game I've ever put hours into. This is probably, and I'm not joking, and this is not an exaggeration. My friends that listen to this who knew me growing up, this is a 5,000 hour game.
Nice.
Um, there's a certain love to it, simply because it is resource management. You have a hero. That hero has an army. You have to build up your army, and there's a cycle that goes through. You're building up a town. You're gathering resources. You're collecting magical artifacts. You can cast spells in combat. Um, is the FMV sequences, are they very much a product of the 90s? Abso-fucking-lutely, okay? And my only biggest regret is this official got an official, and I'm using this in air quotes, type of game that got, sorry, somebody was calling me. I'll get a call them back. That
Oh
got
yeah.
an unofficial re-release, update, remaster, and it was done by everybody's favorite, Ubisoft, and let's just say that wasn't panned well.
Right.
Um, uh, let's just say the original, it was the second best-selling PC game in 1999. It is a 9 and 9.5 out of 10 across the board critically. If this game dropped in the open critic world, this would have been a 97, 95 to 97.
Nice.
So Heroes of Might and Magic 3, 3DO, New World Computing, you're gone too soon. But I absolutely love this game. It's
Very cool.
easily my most played.
Awesome. That's a while back too. I think you're gonna have a lot more retro ones than me because you are the retro encyclopedia. Uh, yeah, mine are a little newer. I have some cuts way back when, but yeah, Heroes of Might and Magic 3. I never played it, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. Glad you
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Uh, My number 9 is in the vein of one of my favorite genres of all time, and that's the Metroidvania genre. And this is
Oh yeah.
one of the two that created the Metroidvanias. Castlevania is one of my favorite IPs of all time, and the greatest Castlevania of all time, in my opinion, is Castlevania Symphony of the Night on PS1. Uh, what can I say about this game? It's where Castlevania kind of really evolved, and still PS1 was more into like the polygons and 3D art style, but nope, Castlevania Symphony and I was like, nah, we're still going to do pixel art, and it's going to be gorgeous, and we're going to kind of mix the 3D stuff into it, and boy, oh boy, Castlevania Symphony of the Night is one of the great Metroidvanias of all time. It's one of the fathers of the Metroidvania genre, and it follows Alucard, which I don't want to spoil it. I know it's old, but I don't want to spoil him. It's Alucard. He's half vampire, half human, and it's just an incredible game. Very gothic. The soundtrack is one of the greats. I have the Black Label on my shelf because it's one of my
Ooh.
top tens. Yeah, yeah. I really want Igarashi to sign it, but I haven't met him. I'd love to meet him. But Koji Igarashi is pretty much the father of Castlevania, and he's the one making Bloodstained. Oh my God, Bloodstained is super inspired by Symphony of the Night. I would even say a spiritual successor to Symphony of the Night. And yeah, best Castlevania. It's well known to be one of the best Castlevanias of all time, and boy, it was just one of the greats, a classic.
Mhm.
And there's if you think you're done with the game, you're not, and it flips it. That flips the game on its head. Let's just say that. And yeah, Belmonts and Alucard and all the monster design and everything. Just a gem. And I had to put a Castlevania game in here. So Symphony of the Night, number 9.
I knew this one was coming for you. I I love Symphony in the Night. I have my preferences on Metroidvanias or Castlevania games, but this is definitely I could see why this would be anybody's favorite. A Black Label that is a pricey gem, my friend.
Yep.
Um, I know that is not a cheap. I don't know what the current markets are, but I know that's not cheap, and that is peak side scrolling. I will admit with that. I will concede that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I picked that up. I didn't pick it up on release. I recently replayed it in the Castlevania Requiem collection. I played Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Castlevania Rondo of Blood that follows Richter. And Rondo of Blood's really hard. And I said, fuck it, I'm going to platinum it. And I platinumed that game, which was a combination of Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood. I wanted to play Rondo of Blood because the fantastic Netflix anime series Castlevania was doing their next run, Castlevania Nocturne, which followed Richter Belmont. And Richter Belmont's one of the most famous Belmonts. And he may or may not be in Symphony of the Night. So I think he's in like the beginning cutscene. What is a man but a miserable pile of secrets? Throws the wine glass down, or blood glass down, I should say, and that's where Symphony of the Night starts. So it has Richter Belmont, and if you haven't watched that anime, it's awesome. And I was hoping it would follow Symphony of the Night, but we're getting there. We're getting there. It did follow a little bit of Rondo of Blood, and if you like Castlevania, you're going to like both those games. Rondo of Blood is one of the older ones that came out on the PSP as Dracula X Chronicles. It was in Dracula X Chronicles, but Symphony of the Night is peak Castlevania. If you're ever interested in Castlevania, go play Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, I feel like I need to play that again soon.
Yes. Requiem. It's on the PS4. It's awesome.
Okay. Oh, sweet, good.
Yep.
Well, you said I'd have some deep cuts, but I'd like to take a jump in time. We're going to not to the future, Matt. We're going further on this timeline. We're going to the year 2025.
Oh. Oh, okay. I think I know what this is.
Yeah. All right. This is the game of the year for me. Quite frankly, possibly a game of the decade. This game knocked another game. A couple of this game shook my top 10 list because I did not know how to fit it in here while not basically finding the justification to cutting off many of the others that I've played. We did a spoiler cast on this for 4.5 fucking hours.
Yes, we
So
did.
definitely feel free to go listen in if you want my dive thoughts. But I'm sorry, Sandful Interactive's Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Um, Go listen to our thoughts on a spoiler cast. But this game, it is a beautiful love letter to how to not only do an RPG, but how you do an overall game design with its mechanics, its storytelling, its controls, its music, its story, everything wrapped up. It's a little bit lower on the list because I think there are some things that were a little rough around the edges. But outside of that, this game had me crying like a big baby at certain points. All right. It takes your heart out, it rips it out of your chest, stomps on it, spits on it, and then shoves it back into your chest before it pulls it out and spits on it again. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good
Um,
way to put it.
but go check it out. You can go listen to our 4 hour podcast. But yeah, man, this one made the top 10 for damn good reasons.
Yep, it's in my top 10 too, and one of the ones we synced up on. And I will pivot and choose another one, but it is also in my top 10. It was that good. And on the spoiler cast, I said I didn't think any game in this decade would ever make my top 10 again. And I was like, I wonder if it's like nostalgia or something, or nope. Claire Obscure is there, and it's right there with me as well. I'll pick another one though. But yeah, good choice. Holy shit. It's going to win Game of the Year. I'm going to be there. I'm probably going to cry and clap at the same time. And man, this game hit us in ways that we didn't know we could feel. And it's fun to play too. And the story's incredible. And man, Sandfall just knocked it out of the park.
Did they ever? They
Yeah.
fucking nailed this.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that was definitely on my list too. But we'll pivot. And my number 8 is the other side of the Metroidvania. And that's Metroid
Yeah, I knew that was
Prime.
coming.
Metroid
Ooh,
Prime, which is not
really?
technically not a 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania. Originally released on the GameCube, and recently had a remaster release that is phenomenal. On the original Switch, ran 60 1080, which is awesome. And I will actually be playing Metroid Prime Remastered this, I think, October, on camera, on mic, with comments for Metroid Database. Shout out to Ryan Barrett. And he asked me to play Metroid Prime Remastered. And I said, fuck yeah. That's one of my favorite games of all time. So I recently played this game too. It came out on the GameCube like decades ago. And I played the remastered version and I loved it so much. I played it again on hard. I played it back to back because there's certain like scans you can miss, and then you can get them when you go through again. And I finally 100%ed that game. I never got to 100% it on the GameCube when I was a fucking teenager, and I finally did. And dude, Metroid Prime 4, what can I say? Very, very inspired by, of course, Metroid. You are Samus Aran, the infamous bounty hunter, and it has everything you love about Metroid if you like Metroid. I think they got a lot of inspiration from Halo. Doom, the recent Doom games, 2016 and on to Dark Ages, got a lot of inspiration from Metroid Prime. Incredible map system. Just, you're a fucking space bounty hunter landing on this planet. It's one of the best soundtracks of all time. It's in my top 10 easily. And yeah, if you're interested in it, I will be playing it on stream, the remastered version on my Switch 2 for Metroid Database, the biggest fan site of Metroid out there. So I love Metroid, and Metroid Prime is my favorite. My favorite.
That's
Dread's up there too, but it's only one IP, and Dread is that Metroidvania 2D side scrolling. But I think Prime just hits me, man. It hits me. So
yeah. Prime is
Metroid Prime.
it's a good It's an amazing 3D shooter. Like,
Yeah.
let's be I know there's a lot I'm gonna get somebody out there, that's not a shooter. Metroid Prime is ultimately a shooter, and it is a it's a good one. It was a good I remember it being a good marry of, first person shooter and Z targeting.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It's definitely a first person shooter. And it's weird because first person shooter is one of my least favorite genres. So I was so hesitant and cautious when it came out because it was going from my favorite genre, one of my favorite genres, Metroidvania, to a first person shooter. And I was like, oh, what the fuck you doing, Nintendo? What's retro doing? Then I played it and I fell in love and they knocked it out of the park.
that's good,
So,
man. I
yeah.
love to hear
Yeah.
that. Metroid Prime, shout out. I gotta go play the remaster some more now, thanks.
Oh, dude, it's the prettiest game on the Switch, and it
Easily.
runs beautifully. I don't even think you need the Switch 2 to play it. I just want to play to have the back paddles for Metroid Prime remastered. I want to see how that goes. But yeah, dude, easily the prettiest, best running game on the console, Metroid Prime remastered. Check it out.
Yeah. Well, so for my number 7 here, bud, um, I got a couple of I have a certain I'm not gonna give you the IP yet, but I had 2 versions of this game of this IP, right? And I tend to go back and forth on which one I like more, okay? Now I had an option and I sat here and I thought about it and I thought about it and I thought about it. And I'm like, all right, well, if I'm doing a hit list and I know where I would normally side, but then I thought, well, you know what? Let me think about everything, the memories I have of the game, and then let me look at where it fits and look at the genres because I don't want to overload. Otherwise, it'd be just all RPGs all day long.
Hmm.
Um, so, Matt, you mentioned Metroid. What's your other? You've got 2 other IPs that are your absolute favorite.
Yeah, Zelda
And
and Final Fantasy.
yeah,
Which one?
it's Zelda.
Yeah.
Um, Specifically in this case, I'm sorry if it's on your list, but at number 7, I got to take Ocarina of Time.
Oh, yes.
Uh,
It's weirdly not on my list, and I'll tell you why when we get there.
okay.
Awesome.
Uh,
I'm glad this one is on yours.
Yeah, this game
Yeah.
completely redefined. So you take Mario 64, which defined what it meant to move in a 3D environment in a 3D platformer, and then Miyamoto said, "Hey kids, did you like that? Well, I got a game for you that redefined 3D environments, but in an adventure game. The inclusion of Z targeting that came into there, the music, the storytelling, the sense of true sense of exploration. I am convinced that Ocarina of Time, that's the vision of what Miyamoto was going for when he was going for Zelda, because he when he came up with the idea, he got it from walking along in the forest outside his home as a kid. I think that's the 3D realization of what he was looking for. The characters are goofy. The side story characters are amazing. Like you said, the seven for the seven sages earlier. Um, this game is so critical to Zelda, that it is the crux of the timeline where everything kind of splits into three. Nintendo has kind of said we really shouldn't have done this, but they did it and they opened Pandora's box of canonicity. Um, I remember playing this game on the N64. I remember playing it on every edition of release that came out on a console. I played it on the 3DS. I played it on every the virtual consoles. I played it. This game I could go back before the discovery of speedrun glitches where like you can beat the game in 15 minutes. I remember looking at a Nintendo Power and looking at their recorded world record of speedrun and thought, I could actually beat that if I really wanted to. That's how much I intimately knew about this game. But yeah, Ocarina of Time. There are multiple modern day versions, so you do not have to break out the 64 and work with that tri controller thing that they did at the time. Um, but if you haven't played this game, I highly recommend it. It is an absolute blast. You get to live your wildest dreams as a Link, but in a 3D environment. And the only thing I got to say is, it had some bad frame rates at the time when you were doing certain actions.
Sure did. but we didn't know what 60 was at the time. So we didn't have that frame of reference, right? So we were like, oh, this is awesome. But like once you go 60, you never go back.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah, man, Ocarina of Time. Uh, it would be on my list, but it's not my favorite of the IP. It's my second favorite.
Oh,
But I can't like the yeah. I don't want to spoil anything that I'm gonna talk about. But yeah, Ocarina of Time is just a fucking classic. It's incredible. Would love to see a remake. I just would just buy the best version. Uh, Ocarina of Time is just an absolute classic. One of the best on the 64 for sure. Um, yeah. Let's see. I'm on number 7, right?
7.
7.
Yep.
Uh, I'm gonna go to the 64 as well, and I'm gonna throw out a game that was one of the best 3D platformers on the 64. I would rent this game when I was like 10 years old. First got my 64, saw it. I was like, "Who's this barren bird?"
Mhm.
And I would rent it from the local game shop or video shop. Couldn't beat it before I had to return it to the rental, and I never was able to beat it until it released on the 360. This is Banjo Kazooie. I'm a huge fan of 3D platformers. I love them. I wish there were more. Astrobot will hopefully revive the genre and put it back in the limelight. Uh, Banjo Kazooie, what can I say? It follows a literal bear and a bird, and it is level based and 3D action adventure platformer. One of the best, one of the greats, made by Rare. And dude, if Xbox just got their fucking shit together and made a Banjo Kazooie remake in Unreal Engine 5, do you know how well that would sell?
Oh, dude, this would be an amazing seller.
If I'm telling you right now, Bob, if it was an exclusive on the next Xbox console, I would fucking buy it. It is a system seller for me. It won't be, and I'm glad we don't live in that world where I have to make that choice. But dude, they're sitting on this IP, and it's so incredible. If you know, you know. If you played it, it was heavily inspired by Mario 64, and it was one of Rare's greats. And I really wish Rare, the developers of Rare, actually like left because they weren't doing a lot at Xbox when Xbox bought Rare or absorbed them or whatever the hell happened. And they made their own studio called Playtonic Games, and then they created a Banjo Kazooie spiritual successor. Not as good as Banjo Kazooie, but it scratched that itch slightly. It wasn't great. Called Ukulele, and it was a chameleon and a bat. It's really good. I mean, if you like Banjo Kazooie, you'll like Ukulele. It's not on the par of Banjo Kazooie, uh, but it's cool. It's great. It's a little unpolished. And then they did a spinoff, the Impossible Layer. I like that too. But yeah, dude, Banjo Kazooie is one of the great 3D platformers on the 64 era with Ocarina of Time, and probably up there with top 3 on 64 for me for sure. And it's in my top 10 easily, easily. So
Yeah.
loved Banjo Kazooie.
Mm.
So I recently, well, not recently, I had never beat it on the 64 because I didn't, as a kid, I didn't have time to beat it because I had to return it to the game store. Right? Crazy concept. Uh, but it came out for the 360 in like '09 or something on the Xbox Arcade, and I finally beat it. And I finally got to the end part and was like, holy shit, I finally did it. And yeah, I 100%ed the achievements or whatever on the 360. But yeah, Banjo Kazooie, dude, classic. I couldn't not have that in my list.
Yeah. You know what we need? This is good. I'm going to say this. This is why Microsoft needs to get off their ass and give us the Rare Replay on the PlayStation,
Right?
because while that one is not my Banjo Kazooie is not my favorite 3D platformer from the 64, at least of that genre or that style. the one that I really like is in the rare replay as well as Banjo Kazooie, and that's Conker's Bad Fur Day. But
Yeah.
both of those games, classic. It's rare at its peak. Like, let's be honest, it really is rare at its peak, and I'm so sad they're not available on a modern console outside of the Microsoft way.
Do you know another incredible game on the 64 they made?
They made several.
Uh,
They made GoldenEye. They
Rare.
made Banjo Kazooie. They made
Donkey
yeah,
Kong
Donkey
64.
Kong 64. Yeah, they made all of them. Really, they kind of gave
Perfect Dark.
so Perfect Dark. So Rare was part of the Dream Team
Yeah.
that Nintendo had back in the day. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to Banjo Kazooie, man. Even my wife loves Banjo Kazooie, and she's not really a gamer, so like that just gives you the sense of impact that game had as a grown up.
Yeah. Talk about a game dev that was suffocated by a greedy publisher. Fuck. Ugh. Anyway.
Amen to that. All right. Well, speaking of greedy publishers,
Ooh.
I'm sorry. This may seem a little out of field, but I'm not exactly a fan of them lately. They're slowly coming back into the limelight because they recently announced the remaster of a game out of their library that I wanted so badly that I willed it into existence back in January when I drafted it. And that's from Square Enix. Um, Matt already knows where this is going.
Mhm.
Anybody that knows me more for than 30 seconds knows where this is going. Um, my my damn internet handle was in subsequently PlayStation ID and everything else was the source for this game. Okay, um, everybody loves Final Fantasy VII, and I understand that. But I have always been that Final Fantasy VIII is the superior game, and I don't. It's for my personal taste. I get taste is everything. But what can I say about this game that I haven't said over the last 25 years of my life? Um, you play as so instead of being a person that's saving, trying to save the planet like Cloud did in Seven, and I draw a lot of parallels because they were both very similar in that style. These were the sci-fi era. This was the sci-fi era of Final Fantasy. You are just a kid. You are just a dude that wanted to become a member of the military and be a mercenary. You did not want to get wrapped up in anything. You don't care about people's drama. You have no interest in anybody's personal opinions on anything because in his he's a pure nihilist at the end of the day. And that's from Squall himself, the main character, and ends up getting wrapped up into a story that, while in modern days people think is convoluted, if you actually look at the whole history, this game, I'm telling you, Matt, if there's a Final Fantasy game that could be broken into three parts and not have to say, "Oops, sorry, this is an alternative storytelling," it's Final Fantasy VIII. There is so much going on in this world that had to been cut. 50% of the game was cut because they couldn't fit it. 50%. This is a 4 disc game, and 50% of it was cut because their ambitions are so high. Okay. Um, I could go on and on about this game. It is the reason I'm even called Leon on the internet. It's I plan on, but it's probably my next tattoo is to get the lion heart tattooed on my arm. Um, and I will say Zell is the other internet handle I used for a while, who's a sub character in there. So that's how much of an impact this game had on me.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I know you're a huge fan of this game. I'm surprised that it's this far down on your list, honestly. Uh, I'm a massive fan of Final Fantasy. However, I played like 2 hours of this game and couldn't get into it. I'm not saying it's bad in any means. Final Fantasy hits every time. Uh, I just I couldn't grasp the concept of the systems, and I did play this at a very young age, and I haven't gone back, and I would love to. This is a game that I really do want to revisit. Uh, but it's just the time thing, right? And
Hmm.
I'm hoping they eventually do a remake like they did for Seven. Uh, but it sounds like they're skipping it and going right to nine, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, this is classic Final Fantasy. It was one I unfortunately skipped, and it's kind of cool to have that difference. Like you love that one, I love the other one, and yeah, I never got into 8. I want to, and I don't. I think it's going to be a great game. I think I'm going to love it. It's just it came out on PS1. I have the black label of that too, and it's I can't find the time. Can't find the time.
Yeah. There's an
So
enhanced edition on the PlayStation 4. So if you ever
oh
do get the time, I'll be happy to sit down with you because if you think you could break Claire, you haven't seen what can be done in Final Fantasy 8.
oh that's very cool. Yeah,
If you put forth the patience, that game will become an absolute. You will break it, and you'll break it over your knee, and then it'll be like, "Please, can you do it harder?" Um, it's charming in that regard. And then, of course, just like Claire, anytime you think you've broken it, they throw something else at you. So
very cool. There are games I am ashamed to say I haven't finished. Resident or Final Fantasy 8 is one of those.
yeah.
Um, my number 6, I was just reading it now. It's from one of our favorite IPs, and I didn't want to take yours, but it's the same protagonist. And honestly, it's my favorite Resident Evil of all time. It's one of the more action oriented Resident Evils, still a lot of survival horror in there. Came out on one of my favorite consoles of all times, and that's the GameCube. And I'm of course referencing Resident Evil 4. Uh, Ironically, like all these games I'm talking about just had like like remakes come out. Like the universe is like, hey, you know your top 10? We're just gonna remake all of them for you. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's do this. Uh, yeah, Resident Evil 4 follows Leon in Europe, and it's a it's a deviation from 3. It still has survival horror, but it has some pretty awesome action sequences. And I just loved that game when it came out. I have the original on GameCube. They re-released this game so many times. It's on the Wii, it's on the PS2, it's on the PS3, it's on the PS4. And they recently released it on the PS5 as a remake. We got the remake, which is incredible. I played that game 6 times for the for the platinum, back to back, I think. Yeah, because I mean, it's New Game Plus, right? And you have to you just keep playing and you just keep progressing, and you can like blast through that game in 2.5 hours if you know what you're doing. And you have like sequence skips and stuff like that. I got in the weeds on that game, but then to get S plus rank, you have to start all the way over and do a new game, not a New Game Plus, and just like have the accuracy and have the time. And I challenged myself. Leon's one of my favorite protagonists in video games, and I still think we're going to see him in Resident Evil 9 because there's a lot of callbacks to his original game, which I'm sure will be talked about in this list. But yeah, Resident Evil 4, man, bunch of action sequences, very fun gameplay. The remake is very fun as well, and I just couldn't. I had to have a Resident Evil on this list, and Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorites. I have a poster of Leon from Resident Evil 4 hanging in my game room, and it's one of the few posters I have for now. I'm gonna put more gaming posters up. Some changes are coming, and I'm gonna like deck this place out with more gaming posters. I'm excited because I have a roll of just 20 gaming posters, including a fucking awesome Metal Gear Solid 4 one I'll show you. Uh, but yeah, Resident Evil 4. Love my boy Leon. Couldn't leave him off the list. Can't wait to see him in Resident Evil 9.
Don't. I'm gonna give you the "Don't give me hope"
Yeah,
meme
don't give me hope.
because yeah, Leon S. Kennedy is the other half of the reason why I have the internet handle I do nowadays.
Hell yeah.
Um, I had a feeling you were gonna go with 4. So absolutely beautiful game.
Sounds
I
like we
played
both
it so
have
many
good
times.
taste.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Four's
Uh,
classic.
well, I guess that's halfway through, man.
Yeah, we're on 5.
We're we're at the top 5. This is the list that pretty much never shakes for me. These are the
Right.
top 5 games that if something were to take its place, that means I'm doing a 6-hour podcast spoiler cast on this thing. Okay, like I'm at the lunch table well, sorry, not lunch table. I'm at the brewery talking about this thing nonstop. Okay. Um, Number 5. As you know, I am a huge, huge fan of the Blue Bomber himself. Um, I have multiple complete in box copies of many of his games. And while I did think about it, and I was like, and I know a lot of people prefer the traditional lineup of the NES games, there is something about the music, the aesthetic, the feel of the SNES era. And I'm not talking about 5, 6, or 7. I'm talking about the X series. And people love 2, 3, and all of those. But there's something about Mega Man X himself, the original that started it all, that still to this day I can hear the startup music in my head on command. I can hear the level music on command if I want to. I can tell you each location of every secret item and where to get them so you can get the Hadouken later in that game. I can tell you how to do it off the back of my hand, okay? This game is probably one of the reasons why I like Metroidvanias, if I'm being honest. If it was not for the Mega Man series, I'm not entirely sure I would be into the Metroidvanias because 2D platforming's nice, but when you get to do it with a fucking cannon, that's where it changes. But yeah, Mega Man X has always been on the number 5. If anything ever knocks this off that list, I'd be really impressed.
Yeah. And we are going to an event that is Mega Man X inspired. I love Mega Man. Didn't get to play a lot of the older games, but I did get to play some of the X games. Just gorgeous pixel art. Some of the greats on the SNES, and that's a good one. I love that. Love that. A lot. Some of our listeners will love that too. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I could think of a few.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mega Man is one of the classics, one of the greats. Good one, good one. Uh let's see. I'm on my number 5. I can't leave this IP out of it. Uh it's a turn-based RPG. Most people don't really see it that way. Came out in Japan in 96, US in 98. This game didn't, but the IP did. And this game was honestly the pinnacle of the series, in my opinion. For the Game Boy Advanced, had a nice little clear green cartridge. This is Pokemon Emerald.
Ooh.
Uh, I'm a huge fan of the Gen 1, but Gen 3 is one of my favorites, and Pokemon Emerald. So Pokemon Ruby and Pokemon Sapphire came out for the Game Boy Advance SP. We had a backlight and a flip up. It was mind blowing, right? You didn't have to have the little worm light. And I played the shit out of Pokemon Ruby, and then Emerald came out. Pokemon used to release the 2 games, right? Red, blue, and then they would have a third game that incorporated everything from the 2 games in one game. So you had red, blue, yellow, gold, silver, crystal, and then we had ruby, sapphire, emerald. Uh, Rayquaza was the title Pokemon on the box. Still one of my favorites to this day. It looks like a Japanese inspired green long dragon that controls the fucking weather, Bob. And
Ooh.
yeah, yeah. So the lore is kind of like you have Pokemon Ruby. Groudon is the title Pokemon of that. He controls the land and creates all the land masses. And then you have Pokemon Sapphire, the blue one, and that is Kyogre. He controls all the water. So they all create. They both created the world of Pokemon, but then to balance them, you have Rayquaza, and he controls the atmosphere and all the weather. So just man, we had a remake of this on 3DS, Pokemon Omega Ruby and Omega Sapphire. They haven't got around to doing the Emerald remake yet, but dude, GBA, pixel art. I was like a young teenager playing this game. It was Pokemon. I loved Pokemon Red, loved Pokemon Gold, and just Emerald had the battle tower. It's just Pokemon pinnacles. A lot of my favorite Pokemon are from Gen 3 too. Takes place in Hoenn, the region. Metagross, it's like a metal spider. Uh, all kinds of good Pokemon in Gen 3. So yeah, Pokemon Emerald is my favorite Pokemon game of all time and is in my top 10 games of all time at number 5. So if you haven't played Pokemon, what the fuck are you doing with your life?
You're like me. You played it, but you could never really get into it,
Right.
even though you recognize how good it is.
Yeah.
Emerald. That's interesting. I had a feeling you were going to go with somewhere in that array. I wouldn't have picked Emerald on the first guess. Um, but yeah, definitely Pokemon. It's the number one IP of all time for a reason. Like,
Oh yeah.
there's
Oh
a
yeah.
reason that it is.
Yeah. Gold is really close there. Real close. Like I had to pick one, and Emerald kind of takes up the technology a notch and is on the Game Boy Advanced rather than the Game Boy. Uh Gold is real close though. Cause yeah. So
That's that's true. That's true. I could see that, man.
yep.
Oh, Pokemon Emerald. I know I got some listeners out there who are who are going to love to hear that.
Oh yeah.
Uh, well, so number 4. All right, I'm gonna do this, Matt. If I tell you what's the pinnacle or what's the progenitor of first-person shooters, what's everybody's answer?
Halo.
Yeah, I could see that. Some people would say it's Doom.
Oh yeah,
Some
dude.
some people would say it's Wolfenstein.
Mm.
Every one of them did something to advance the genre in their own way. I think Call of Duty helped with multiplayer, right? GoldenEye helped with its co-op or its couch co-op multiplayer. Um, couch multiplayer. I don't know how you would call that, but the point
Right.
is, there was one game that not only was it a first person shooter, it was an environmental storyteller. It had platforming like you would with a Zelda game. Okay. It had storytelling that if you really tried to go down the edge and try to listen to the story, you thought you were playing a Kojima game. Um, this game is so near and dear to me that I forced my middle son. I forced him to play the game, and he came back and said, "Dad, I'm so glad you made me play this game." I have one of its symbols tattooed on my fucking arm. And that's going to be the original Half-Life
Yep.
from Valve. If it was not for this game, we would not have Steam because this game launched Valve into the stratosphere that they are in today. Um, this game, I'm telling you, if you want to talk, all it is you are literally a science worker at a research facility underground who wakes up and is running late to work that morning and just goes and does what he's normally supposed to do when a science lab or a science experiment goes off the rails, and you're shoved into this world where you're now fighting extra dimensional space creatures, you're fighting aliens, you're fighting the US government, you're fighting all these, you just want to survive and get out. You were just there to do your fucking job that day, and you got launched into to where you're at. This game was so good they created 3 different expansions for it, and they are amazing too. And the great thing about those expansions, Matt, is you don't play as the main character from the original base set. You play as they give you a perspective because they say, "Hey, this is an event that happened at this facility." But you weren't the only person that was there. There were other people that are there, and these expansions give you perspective of both different sides of different ways of how things happen, and absolutely phenomenal. It then launched into Team Fortress, which was a mod of that. Which launched a Steam. Then Half Life is a critical game in the industry. If we didn't have it, we would not be where we are today.
Very cool. Good old Gordon Freeman.
Mr. Freeman.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's another classic, one of the greats. And yeah, it made Steam who they are today for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. That's a good one. And you have a tattoo of it. You are not lying about that. Uh so yeah, very cool. We're getting down to it, man. We're on number 4.
We're getting there.
Yep. And number 4 is from one of my favorite IPs of all time, I'd say.
Hmm.
And yeah, it is in the vein of one of my favorite time periods. And this IP definitely goes back and explores time periods. And it's about pirates. And I fucking love pirates. And I love rum. And I love everything about it. And it's one of the best pirate sims out there. I'm talking about Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. This is my number
The
4.
best one. The best one.
Easily. The ship combat follows Edward Kenway. He's one of the assassins. It uh, is part of the huge Assassin's Creed universe. If you know, you know. I'm not going to spoil it. I don't want to. I know it's an old game, but I don't want to spoil it. Came out in 2013 for the PS4 and 360. It was one of the launch. It was either launch or launch window games, and man, this was like a step up in graphics. It was in the Caribbean Sea, uh, and it just, if you like pirates and you want to be a pirate, go play Assassin's Creed 4. This hasn't been remade yet, but there are huge, heavy rumors that it is being remade, and I will be there day fucking one. Everything will be put down. I would love to revisit this game. I played it on the 360. I played it on the PS4. Didn't platinum it on the PS4 because it had some bullshit, really hard multiplayer trophies that required just crazy skill against players, real players, and I didn't want to deal with that. But it's easily one of my favorite games in the Assassin's Creed series. It's up there with Assassin's Creed 2. And Edward, his character building throughout the entire game, he's just like this greedy pirate, and then gets sucked into this crazy, awesome world of Assassin's Creed and what it is to be an assassin, and like joins the Brotherhood, and like you just the ship combat and the ship exploration and the graphics at the time. It's one of my favorites. And Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, uh, just an amazing game. Highly recommend it. If you like pirates, go play it. Maybe wait for the remake. Just God, it's awesome. He's one of my favorite assassins too. It's just his character development throughout the game is so cool, and the set pieces. It's just an awesome game. I love it, and I love
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed too.
You know, the Assassin's Creed I was not into originally. Like I played the third one, um, but I wasn't really into it. And then I saw what they did with 4, and I was like, "Wait, you can be a fucking pirate now?" And I was sold. So, I agree with you. Assassin's Creed Black Flag is the pinnacle of the AC series. I know that's a very divisive statement, but this is coming from somebody who was not an Assassin's Creed fan and jumped in and went, "Oh my goodness, this is what it can provide." Um, I loved doing that, dude. Remember ramming other ships, and you're just like, "You know what? Screw it. I don't need the cannons," and just ram the ship head on.
Yep. You can dive down to get sunken treasure. Anything you think of what pirates did, it's in there. And they delve deep, man. It's the best pirate game ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Well, here we are, man. Top 3.
Top
Um,
3.
these are, if you tell me my top 3, these are the top 3 in this specific order,
Yep.
all day long. Um, I got to go with this. You said it earlier. There's no, just take this band-aid off. This is the prequel, if you will, to Resident Evil 4. And that's Resident Evil 2. What can I say about this game? Dude, Matt, before the internet gave away all the secrets of a game and you could look them up on launch day, I didn't know that there were certain secret modes within Resident Evil 2. So I beat that game so many times. I unlocked the tofu survival mode and thought, wait a minute, that's a fucking joke, right? Because you had to beat the game no less than 6 times.
Yeah.
Um, I I played this game so much, I knew every angle of it. Um, this game, so this is what I'll say. The old school one is the tank controls, and I understand why somebody might not enjoy them. So if you cannot get past the tank controls, Capcom released the Resident Evil 2 remake, and I don't want to say it's a superior version, but I do want to say it is a damn good version of Resident Evil 2. It gives everything, it's a love letter to the original while expanding upon some ideas and bringing it into the modern world. Um, but yeah, this is where Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield got their start. I could tell you anything and everything about this game. At least from the gameplay wise, I played it so much. And Ada Wong is my girl. She always will be.
Oh yeah. This was Leon's breakout game. Uh it's probably my second favorite, honestly. The remake is awesome. It goes on third person behind the shoulder like 4 did. Uh, the tank controls in 2, just like 1 and 3, little tough. But 2 has just an awesome story, different playthroughs. You can play as Leon or Claire. It's pinnacle survival horror Resident Evil for sure, for sure. Yeah, that's a good one. I love it. I knew it was going to be on your list. I knew it.
Yeah, you knew it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And top 3 don't really change for us, honestly. Like my top 3 have been like this for a while, for about a decade now. But my third one is more recent than you think, and it was one of the new IPs from PlayStation for the PlayStation 4, and Guerrilla Games deviated from something they are very used to doing, which is Killzone, and they gave us this fucking awesome post-apocalyptic third-person action adventure where you're using an elemental bow and arrow to fight robot dinosaurs as Aloy. And I'm of course talking about Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Forbidden West is the optimal game. It's the more technologically advanced game. It was my game of the year. Horizon Zero Dawn was my game of the year. This came out in 2017. Just a new IP from PS4. PS4 had some banger new IPs, including Death Stranding. But yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn. I was sold on this game. I went to PSX and played it early that year. Robot dinosaurs, and you have no fucking clue why you're in this world. And then they explain what's going on, and you're like, holy shit, this is the coolest, most original, fucking awesome story ever. And Zero Dawn creeped above Forbidden West because it was just that impact of the story that hit me. Or Forbidden West is the more technologically advanced, better playing game. It's incredible, but Zero Dawn, man, holds a special place in my heart. One of the best original IPs on PlayStation. It is my favorite original IP of PlayStation, up there with Uncharted and God of War. Uh, but man, it's it's an awesome game with Aloy, and just everything is explained why things are going the way they are. It's just fun combat. You have a bow and arrow with all kinds of elemental arrows, chipping away at these machines, and it's just so fun. So, and I say God of War. God of War 3 is up there for me too. I forgot to mention that, but we're in our top 2. So yeah, God of War 3 is incredible. I love God of War, but Horizon, my favorite IP on PlayStation. It's in my top 3. And it's crazy because it hit my top 3 like a decade ago. So it cracked it. I love Horizon. I haven't got around to playing the remake yet, or remaster, because it was on the heels of Forbidden West, and I don't know. It's special to me, and I really want to dedicate my time to that. And I fired it up, and it runs beautifully, looks beautiful, and I would dive back into it. Uh, but I already like experienced it, right? And some of those games you don't want to touch, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn,
That's a good choice, man.
so
I
good.
I agree with you. Horizon is the best original Sony IP that has come out in a long time. I'm sorry, God of War is a great, and I like what they did, but the story that's enriched and the intrigue and the world building and the gameplay with Horizon, there are certain games that come along, and this game should be on my top 10, but you can only have so many slots. The Horizon is one of the few games that come along and it resonates with you in a certain way where you go, "Oh, wow." That's why Claire's on this list because it resonated with me in a certain way.
Yep.
Um, and I definitely agree. Zero Dawn is one of the I understand that Forbidden West is technologically a better playing game, but Zero Dawn is where it started, and it holds a special place for that reason.
Yep. Exactly.
Hmm. Well, Matt, it's funny you mentioned this. You know what game is an original of the start of what it became, and it resonated with me so much that while the sequels later on arguably are probably better, it doesn't matter because the original is where it all started for me.
It hit you,
You talk about, yeah,
right?
you hit
Yeah.
you. You talk about the story and the oh my god, that's this game. Um, PlayStation 1, stealth action espionage from the Kojima god himself,
Yep.
and that's Metal Gear Solid.
Hell yeah.
Um, I know a kid. I knew a kid in high school that I went to school with. He tried to write a English paper about the story. He got told he had to cut it down because he got to 23 pages.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. Um, if you don't know Metal Gear Solid, then I don't know what you're doing listening to this podcast. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be mean. I don't mean to be condescending. But Kojima is where he's at now because of, quite frankly, this game. I know he has Police Knots and Zone of the Enders, but this game launched him into the stratosphere. This game, I don't want to say too much because there are certain things about this game that if I told you and kind of somewhat explained, it would ruin the impact of what could happen. Um, I remember I played this game so many times. I know it so well. I get 2 and 3 are more popular, but there's something about that original and the story, the way it kind of changes every time, and you think you know what's going on, and then oh, you're like, oh shit, psych, plot twist. That's Metal Gear Solid, and I think the underlying themes of that it's trying to say, which I guess I could say without really spoiling it, which is about legacy in your immortality, if you will, but the legacy that you drive on and being an individual living your own life, they resonated with me really, really deep, man. So much that's kind of why I joined the army. I
Wow.
I was tired of doing things that people told me I had to do, or that I should be doing. So I said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go do something different." And lo and behold, I became a soldier.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's one of the greats. My favorite of the series is the remake of one, Twin Snakes on GameCube. Uh, but one is where I think like Kojima skyrocketed, like you said. And man, uh, what can I say? I have the black label. You were there when David Hayter signed it. It's one of my favorites too. Not my top 10 though.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I get it. I totally understand.
That's why I was like, dude, you haven't played Death Stranding? Aren't you like a huge Kojima fan? Do you know like it's a Kojima game? You found
Yeah.
out. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid. I knew that was on your list. Very good. Number 2, which man, oh, dude, this is so hard. Like not number 1 and 2, 3, even top 5. Like it's so hard picking your top 10. And I hate picking favorites. I really do because all these games offer unique experiences. Like I didn't even talk about Uncharted 4 or God of War 3. Like these are up there too. And I love them so much. Uh, but it's so hard to pick that list. Not the top 3 though. My top 3 haven't changed. My top 2 haven't changed in a while. And number 2, I mean, shit. If you know me, you know I absolutely love this game. We recently got a remake as well. It was broken up into 3 parts. It's one of my favorite IPs of all time. It's my second favorite IP of all time, other than my first IP, which is on the number 1 spot. But of course, I'm talking about Cloud Strife, Barrett Wallace, Tifa Lockhart, Aerith Gainsborough. We're talking about Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What can I say? Like, Final Fantasy VII is just one of the greatest games of all time. One of. Uh, I originally played it on the PC. I saw it in a GameStop, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Final Fantasy. Let's check this out." And I played it on the PC. Didn't even know you could change the graphic settings, so I played it really pixelated on my Windows 95 Pentium 3. uh,
Holy crap.
when I was like 11, 12, 13 years old or something like that. And I fell in love. It was one of the first games I ever, one of the first RPGs I ever played. I think it was the first RPG I ever played. And I think that's really serendipitous. That's awesome. But dude, it's just a grand adventure. You start out as Cloud Strife, the mercenary for hire. He's with Barrett Wallace. You're in Midgar. You're going to bomb this reactor, and the entire you think the entire game happens in Midgar, but then it's like, please insert this too. And you're like, oh, okay. And then world map fucking opens up, and you're like, what the hell is going on? And you see Midgar as just like a little spot on the map, and you're like, holy shit. And you start as a mercenary for hire, and then you find out so much about why you're the way you are, your history, who all's involved, and you meet one of the greatest villains of all time, in my opinion, Sephiroth. And he has some pretty crazy motivations. And I'm definitely not going to spoil this game because the third part of the remake is coming out. Reborn, I think it's what it's going to be called. Final Fantasy VII Remake was my game of the year. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the second of the series, was my game of the year. I think those two games complement the original. The original is still my favorite. I have the black label of this. I actually have the misprint. It's one of the rarest copies out there. Uh, and dude, Cloud Strife is my favorite character of all time in video games. He's my number one. I just relate with him so much. I can't say why because it's a spoiler for the game, but we all have our issues in life. Let's just say that. Um, yeah, I relate with what happened to him and just the story. It starts so small but so grand when you think it's so grand, but then you're like, oh, this story is awesome and it's huge, but then it gets gigantic, and you're like this person trying to save the world, and all the characters, the whole cast, I can name them off first and last names. Red 13, one of the greats, Vincent Valentine, Yuffie Kisaragi, if I'm pronouncing her name right, Sid Highwind, Kate Sith, just incredible. It's my favorite Final Fantasy game of all time. Final Fantasy is my second favorite IP of all time. I could literally take an entire podcast and gush about this game and tell you why you should play it. Uh, Go play the remake if you haven't. And if you love that, you'll love Rebirth and you'll be super excited. And whatever year Reborn or whatever the next one comes out, it's going to be my game of the year. I already know it. Rebirth came out in April, and I was like, this is my game of the year. Nothing's going to top it. And it didn't. It remained my game of the year. And Claire Obscura is actually heavily inspired by this game. So Final Fantasy VII, man, it's just shit. It's like neck and neck with my top one. Like it's just neck and neck. Those are all the way up there. They'll never be touched. So that is my second. We
Man.
are, yeah, yeah. You've played it. You love it.
Yeah, I love Final Fantasy VII. I think it is an amazing game. Um, there are from a personal, I have my own personal why it's not on my list, but ultimately at the end of the day, I really do enjoy this game. I think it if it wasn't for seven, we wouldn't have a lot of the RPGs that we have today. In terms of moving to the 3D realm, right? There was Beyond the Beyond and things like that, but nothing really hit until seven struck.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was the first entry into 3D for Final Fantasy. Like we went from pixel art turn based with Final Fantasy 6 to it's kind of a turn based hybrid. I guess 6 was a little hybrid too, but it was just like 3D. It was unprecedented. I think the jump from like SNES to 64 or the first PS1 from I get PS1 was the first one, or Sega Saturn to Sega Dream or Genesis to Dreamcast. I think that was the biggest jump in gaming history. We went from pixel art 2D to 3D models and it just blew your mind when you first saw it. And Final Fantasy VII was one of those games, including Ocarina of Time on the heels of A Link to the Past. Just I think 98 was the late 90s was the best time for video games, hands down.
Oh yeah, I would absolutely agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
Um, and the reason I say that is because of my number one game came out
Oh, and
in the mid to late 90s. Um,
nice.
anybody that knows me probably knows this game, or knows that this is no surprise, right? Um, we talk about Claire, and Final Fantasy VII, inspiring Claire. People talk about a certain aspect of the gameplay, Matt, of Claire, with the dodge and parry mechanics. Dodge and parry mechanics are not unique to RPGs, my friend. They have a progenitor, an origin point. Um, this game is the love child. People talk about Chrono Trigger being the love child of multiple great minds within the industry coming together. This one I think is better. Obviously, I think it's better because it's number one on my list. I think this does it better. This is the love child of what happened when you mixed the old Square, not Square Enix, but Square Soft team, and combined them with the Nintendo team to create something. We have names like Yoko Shimomura, who wrote the music for this. You know what she went on to do?
What?
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
We have Kensuke Tanabe. We have Miyamoto, the man himself, involved
Oh,
with this game.
yeah.
Um, there are many people that came along with this and this was right before Square became Square Enix.
It's a
And
mesh
that's
of two of the greatest developers of all time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's coming together. I have a copy of it. I have a custom case thanks to you. I have the guidebook from 96 that talks about this game. This game, when it re-released onto the Switch and they did a remaster, was my game that year because like I love this game that much. And that's Super Mario RPG's Legend of the Seven Stars. Um, this game is, what can I say? I know anything about this. This game was fun. It was great because you're like, oh, it's a Mario game. It's an RPG game. Let's see what happens. And you literally start the game going to save Princess Peach from Bowser. The first 5 minutes of the game is typical. We're going to go do this. And then it gets turned on its head. I don't want to spoil too much, but then eventually it turns on its head. And now all of a sudden, Mario's stuck in this grand adventure to help restore the Star Road. The Star Road, as in the same Star Road from Super Mario World. So this thing references other Mario RPGs. There are references to other Nintendo properties in here. There's Easter eggs to things like, Link. You can find Link in the game if you know what you're doing. He's sleeping. Um, you've
And
got and
Samus.
Samus as well. You have Star Fox references in here. You
Mhm.
have F-Zero references in here. This is what happens when developers are allowed to have fun. Um, I can tell you this game is one of the only games that I think it is the closest to a true 10 out of 10 objectively. And I mean that because the music is great. I've never come across it all of a sudden crashes on me. It's old school 16-bit, but even then I would never talk about the frame rates in that generation, which by the way are still solid. The only thing that came up with that game that I do not like to this day is one part of a game design, and that's getting. Remember the 1,000 jump ropes in Final Fantasy IX, Matt?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. How about doing 1,000 super jumps
Ooh.
in a row? Or I mean, 100 super jumps. I'm sorry,
Ooh.
100 super jumps in a row, where you have to press the timing perfectly, and you're in a rhythm, and you got to do it, and you got to do it, and you got to do it, and then you know what you get? You get an okay accessory. Some argue it's the best. I don't think so because you don't need it to beat the game. Um,
Uh,
I can I can tell you where to find every secret item. I can tell you every secret trope about this game. Um, there are references upon references. You know, you can fight the Power Rangers.
what? No?
Yeah, they're not called the Power Rangers, but you can fight the Power Rangers.
Wow.
And they all have their own little personality. I could go on. I could make a podcast about this game. To be quite honest, but yeah, this is this is where a lot of RPGs get their inspiration from, with timed hits and the way they do their exploration and music and saving. Like everything about this game influenced some sort of an RPG later on down the line. And that's why it'll always be my number one.
Yep. It recently got remade for the Switch.
Yes, it did. Yes, it
Yeah.
did.
I hope it gets patched. That'd be cool.
Mm. You know what? I gotta fire it up on the Switch too. I might do that now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh, Incredible. Yeah. It's your favorite game of all time. I got you that case. And yeah, this is never probably going to be topped for you. Uh, you gush about this game. And I love it. And it's a mesh of Nintendo and Square Enix. And what can I say? I've played it. Never beat it though. It's really tough. It's really tough game. But I love that you're super passionate about it. That's your number one.
Yep.
Number one. Uh my number one, like I said, it's neck and neck with Final Fantasy VII. But it's my favorite IP of all time. I played it when I was very young. I played the games before it when I was very young. And this game, I feel like, perfected the genre. It went dark and gritty from Ocarina of Time. It's heavily inspired by Ocarina of Time. And like I said, in the IPs, Ocarina of Time and this game are neck and neck. Follows Link, of course, and it took Zelda down a dark turn in the veins of like Majora's Mask. And I'm of course talking about The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. Originally released on the GameCube, and then it was remade. It launched on the GameCube, optimized, and then they ported it to the Wii. It was a Wii release title, and then they remade it for the Wii U. And I'm waiting for them to remake it for the Switch or potentially the Switch too. Uh, Third-person action adventure following our boy Link. Uh, Needs to save Zelda in the world of Hyrule, and I think it just took heavy inspiration on Ocarina of Time, and it was more modern, beautiful game. Probably doesn't hold up today, but it probably does. And a big twist, and one of the reasons it's my top favorite game of all time, because it's in my top IP of all time, Zelda, uh, is you can turn into a wolf. Because when you go into the Twilight Realm, you turn into a wolf, and I know it's so cliche, but a wolf is my favorite animal. I am digital wolf on some of the gaming platforms other than NeoCharge. A lot of my handles for emails, digital wolf. I'm a huge fan of wolves. Love the animal, and my favorite IP of all time. I'll never forget E3. They showed the trailer for The Legend of Zelda, and they showed him turn into a wolf, and I lost my shit. Uh, I got it on launch. I got it for the GameCube and the Wii. Played it immediately. Fell in love, and this game just holds a special place in my heart. And it's probably because after I went through what I went through when I was 20, I was recovering, and this game is part of why I fought for my life to play it. If that's weird, I fought for my life, of course, for friends and family, right?
Yeah.
Primarily, but I was like, holy shit, I get to play this game. I did it. I survived one of the most deadly fucking diseases on the planet at 20, and now I get to play this game. And I really related to what Link went through in Twilight Princess. It might not be the best game in the series. It's very divisive if it is the best game in the series. But these lists are uh, specific to us, and if it holds a special place in your heart for nostalgic reasons or what you were going through at the time, uh, this game holds it and will never be topped. And I played it 3 times. I played the remake. It's Zelda, and yeah, what can I say? It's my favorite IP of all time, favorite game of all time, Twilight Princess, and it was inspired by Ocarina of Time, which is easily second favorite Zelda of all time. Uh, some very unique dungeons, and It's a huge game and it's fun to play. It still looks good to this day, I think. It's not an RPG. People say it's an RPG. Zelda is not an RPG. It's a third person action adventure. Full stop.
Thank you. Thank you. It's action adventure.
It's not an RPG. I've played many RPGs and I played Zelda. Okay. Uh yeah. And it's super dark. A lot of what happens, like it dives into death, which was very prominent on my mind at the time because I had survived. Uh and yeah, it's just yeah, Twilight Princess is my top favorite game of all time, and it won't be topped. If that ever releases on Switch 2, oh, God, I'm there day one, man. Um, yeah, if you haven't played it, go play Ocarina of Time first because it is inspired heavily by Ocarina of Time. But that last boss fight on Twilight Princess, no spoilers, holy shit. It took Zelda and took it to 11 and put it in the next generation with like what it was. I'd say it's the best GameCube game. It released on GameCube Wii, uh, but it was like the best game on the GameCube and was like our The Last of Us on PS3 to what GameCube was, and it just was optimized. So yeah,
Yeah.
Twilight Princess, man, loved it. You played it, you've beat it multiple times. I know you're a huge Zelda fan. It's one of the greats.
Yeah, absolutely. This is I'm so glad I'm not surprised, kid, and this is a very very solid game. I'm glad that it's near and dear to you. That's a good example of what I mean by these top 10 lists are they it's about the meaning that comes into play and what it holds in your heart. I mean, you're right. That story is dark. I I don't want to spoil, but yeah, some of the themes and things that go in there, some of those cutscenes, I'm like, wait, this is Nintendo? Like,
Yep.
that's kind of like not Nintendo publishing, but or allowing on your platform, but this is Nintendo developed. Are you sure about that? Um,
Yep.
this is definitely. I know why people absolutely love this game. I see why it's absolutely your favorite. And then there's if it's ever taken off the top of your list, I'd be shocked, like
Yeah.
royally shocked that
It's,
that ever happened.
it has one of the best soundtracks. Just yeah, it's an incredible game that
Hmm.
is amazing. And yeah, so dark, and you're like, holy shit, because I was 21, 22 at the time I played it, coming off some shit in life. Let's just say that. I don't want to go into details, but yeah, it was a
Yeah.
an emergence game for
Hmm.
me, and it was my favorite IP of all time. I loved Ocarina of Time, and it just yeah hit me different, man. Hit me different. So
Yeah.
yeah, there they
Well,
are.
there they are, the top 10. Obviously, this list is subject to change because Claire ended up on my list. So this can happen at a moment's notice. But
Yeah,
you know,
I,
well,
re-
speaking of,
I was
what's
gonna
that?
say I really hate picking favorites. I really do. Every game offers something unique. I didn't even mention BioShock. Like God,
All right, so
just
let me put you on there.
yeah,
BioShock,
yeah.
Fallout,
Hmm.
Civilization,
Hmm.
GoldenEye, Wild Arms, Octopath Traveler, and that's not even touching anything that's Sony related IPs, Sony directly related. 'Cause you could have the Ratchet and Clank, you could have the Crash Bandicoot, you could have the Spyro, you could have the like. There are so many games, and that was the problem going down this list. Was
Yep.
wait, how do I sort this? Like,
Right.
maybe
Dead
if we,
Dead Space, Super Mario Galaxy, like Final
yes.
Fantasy 9. It's in the same vein. Final Fantasy 16. I don't
S
care. I love
Final
16.
Fantasy 10.
Yeah. Oh, Final Fantasy 10. Shit. Pokemon
Yeah.
Gold, like I was saying. Borderlands
Mhm.
2. Come on, that's your other tattoo.
Yeah, that's the other tattoo I have on here, Borderlands 2. Halo, we mentioned it earlier, but Halo
Mhm.
3 is one of my favorite shooters of all time. Like,
Mhm.
that's where it becomes really hard, and I took this list at the angle of, all right, what holds the like, what do I where do I have some of the best memories playing?
Right.
Um, and yeah, that's where we ended up, but yeah, that's the problem with these top 10 lists. Um, but that's why the top 3 never change or haven't changed. I'm not gonna say never, but haven't changed in 20 fucking years.
Exactly, exactly. And I mean, hey, you guys see how hard it is for yourselves. Throw your top 10 in the Discord. Let's hear what you have to say. Let's have a conversation on it. We want to hear from you guys. Your top 3 are easy, your top 5 are a little tough. Put your top 10 in there and see how hard it is. Okay? It's like I said, each game offers such a unique experience, and it has there's such unique stories. I'll tell you what, I didn't have in any of my top I'd say even 25 PvP. No
Mhm.
PvP games. They're all narrative driven, single player, usually third person action or RPG. So I do know that about myself. But yeah, picking the top 10 was very, very tough. We did our best, and I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, that's gonna put a pin in it for episode 10. Did you have fun? That was fun. I
Oh,
liked it.
absolutely, man. I love it. I love it. Yes, like you said, I want to hear people's top 10 lists. I love this kind of a thing. I love because you're going to get a different perspective. That's
Mhm.
what's the great thing about video games is they are so subjective. Um, that I would love to see people's list because I we could see a Smash Brothers on there for all I know,
Mhm.
and I would love to get that perspective because that tells me when I tell you give me your top 5. Th that tells me the kind of games and the idea of where you come from, so that way when I'm talking to you later and I say, "Hey, I think you may really like this game," I can give you a recommendation on it.
Exactly.
Um, but yeah, man,
Exactly.
that's a good one on there. That's a good wrap. I could probably continue to talk about it, but yeah, I'm so glad we did this, and maybe we'll do another top list or something. Maybe we'll come up with something crazier later down the line.
Yep, we're only on 10 and it only goes up from here. And we're not planning on stopping anytime soon. So we really appreciate all of you listening. And thanks for sticking around. Like we said, we really want to hear your top 10 games. So throw it up in Discord. If you're not part of Discord, please join. It's a fun little community. We just pretty much talk games all the time there. But yeah, we've had fun. We've drank some good beers, talked about some amazing, incredible games, and thanks for hanging out with us.
Bye, everybody.
Shapes of Gaming is a podcast shaped around gaming and, most importantly, our community. That's you. It is written, created, and recorded in beautiful Colorado Springs, Colorado, by me, Matt Stenson, and my good friend Bob Harriman. If you would like to be part of this amazing community, be sure to like, subscribe, or follow us on all the social media platforms or the podcast app of your choice. Thanks so much for listening, and always remember keep the conversation going, and most importantly, keep gaming.